the city sleeps and the lights go low, questions arise on how rules flow. Sean's here to guide in the quiet night air, bringing truth and justice with a steady stare. After dark we roll, the questions ignite. Let's talk about the road in the calm moonlight. It's more than cars, it's how we steer. Sean Shapiro's voice is crystal clear. Brake lights shimmer, the stories unfold. Traffic and wisdom, stories retold. Seatbelt tight, let's cruise down this lane. Answers from Sean, it's never in vain. The road is long, but the talk is real. Regrets and curiosity, both we can heal. Reflections deep as the asphalt one.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Sean Shapiro coming to you live from my basement while digesting the all-you-can-eat meal I just ate. All I could eat. I didn't actually go overboard. I'm exaggerating. I just had some meat and some broccoli at an all-you-can-eat Chinese food joint where I hung out with some of my friends that I'll be spending eternity with. Not even joking, but you gotta know. You gotta know to know. Because right now, you're just going, what is he talking about? Anyway, I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you want to know stuff, well, you should be following this channel. If you're not following this channel, you're missing out. That's all I got to say about that. What's going on here with my thing, my phone? Why is it closing? Why is it locking itself? Am I pressing a button I didn't know I was pressing? Weird. Oh, I got to press a button. It's a different button. Where's my mouse? What's going on here? Quite literally, my iPad is locking itself for no apparent reason. I don't get it. Lots to talk about. What the heck? Okay, it's really weird. It's really weird. It's like it's possessed. Stop it. I don't know what it's doing. I don't know why. But it's really pissing me off. Okay, hang on. I'm going to shut every other app off. And if I have to, I'll reboot it. Things that annoy me. That's annoying. What the hell? Okay, sorry. And now I can't find my mouse. There we go. Sometimes things don't make sense. And that's usually when you're live on the internet. Just saying. If something's going to go wrong, that's when it's going to go wrong the mostest. Yeah. Melody, I see you. How you doing? Melody's a mechanic, and they're in the chat. So if you've got traffic, police, and mechanical questions, Melody might be able to lend her voice, or at least give you an answer. One user says, why are you live at 9 p.m.? Because on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go live at 9 p.m. Mind you, I was live at like 9:05 because I was late coming back from dinner. I was out with some friends, and I left early to make sure I could be back for you. For realsies. Christina Cola says, during the day, ? Wait. Oh, wait, there's a follow-up here. Christina Cola joined and says, I have a question on a residential street. Is there parking restrictions during the day? Actually, yeah. There's in the city of Toronto, and it's going to be different in every jurisdiction that you're in, but you have a 3-hour street parking limit in the city of Toronto, and that can be different wherever you are. And user whose name is in language I don't read, or in an alphabet that I'm not familiar with. Says, because usually I see you at 10 a.m. and 9 a.m. every day, but you're now at 9 p.m. and this is kind of weird. And it is weird. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 10 a.m., Tuesdays, and Thursday nights, 9 p.m. And the reason is so that I can give you an opportunity to catch the live in case you're not around at 10 a.m. It's all for you. Not specifically you, but the yous, every use. Yeah. Let's see what's going on the YouTubes and the Instagram. Stephen Bell says, "Hi, Sean. How you doing today?" I am doing well, Stephen. Thanks for asking. I'm doing really well because I managed to do everything I mean. Well, okay, not everything. Some things got shifted. Apparently, the chief was more important than me today. I get it. I was supposed to have a meeting, but the chief took my spot because, well, he's the chief, and that's what happens when the chief wants to go somewhere. But I don't hold it against him because he's a good guy. But yeah, I aside from having to juggle my day around a little bit, I got everything that I needed to do done, and I picked up my new drone. I picked up a Mini 4 Pro. DJI makes a Mini 4 Pro. It's a pretty spectacular little guy. I was trying to, and I did get it at auction, so I saved some money on it because King of the North is where I buy a lot of my stuff. And I took it for a test flight. I checked it all out. Everything's perfect. Really happy. And now I got to sell my Mini 3 Pro because I don't need a Mini 3 Pro and a Mini 4 Pro. So I even put some time into crafting a listing that I will make available and sell my used one because I like to upgrade. I don't have to upgrade when it's brand new. Like it doesn't have to be the first one out of the door. I don't need to have the very first, but I like to keep my tech up there. And it's a small upgrade, but an upgrade nonetheless. So what's going on with you? How is your day going? Did you do anything exciting? Did you get a new drone? Okay, I'm really excited about the drone. Now, Mel says Mel is sore. What did I do? Yeah. Says Mel is sore. First ball game tonight. This body hasn't run in a long time. Mine has probably not run in longer. But yeah, Mel told me that this is baseball season. And of course, Mel has all her games on Tuesdays and Thursdays, if I'm not mistaken, which coincides with our live stream to make it be sure that you're always sore whenever you're catching the live stream. Yeah. And Christina Cola says, City of Vaughan. You know what? I would check with the City of Vaughan's website, but chances are, yes. Chances are there's still the same deal where there's a maximum of street parking, unless you have an accessible permit. Accessibility permits generally extend on-street parking limitations to 24 hours. At least that's what happens in Toronto, and I assume they would be doing similar things in whatever jurisdiction you're in, or you said Vaughan. Yeah, people get shocked. They're like, but it's not nighttime, it's not overnight, but it's one trick you can employ, and I'm sure no one from the city will be happy. They have to mark or chalk your tires. So let's say every 2 hours you move your vehicle a foot in either direction, move it back 1 foot, and go 2 hours later, move it back. They can't ticket you for that because you've moved your vehicle. They have to chalk it or make a mark as to what is the top mark on where your valve stem is. If it's no longer in the same space, they can't give you the ticket. Shocking. Okay. Let's see here. Matthew Runaway says, hello, how are the fitness logs? Hello, how are the fitness logs held accountable? Are they electronic or electric, or do they just take your word? So fitness logs are a thing that came after me. I don't recall ever having fitness logs. Yeah. There's either stuff you do as a group or there's stuff that you should do on your own, because if you don't do it on your own, you're going to fail the test. But I've been hearing about these fitness logs. So what Matthew's talking about is when you go to the police college, different police services handle maintaining your own fitness differently. And I know OPP, I think, has the fitness logs where you write down what you did and then you tell them what you did. And I think for the most part, they just take your word for it. But if you are lying on it and they catch you, well, that's deceit and say goodbye to your career. And if you're lying on it and they don't catch you, when it's you who will not be able to complete the test or may have difficulties graduating because you just don't have the same ability that you would have if you were doing what you said you were doing. You should be in the gym. You should be doing things to further your development. And congratulations if you're in the next class. That's awesome. Brandon says, hello, Sean and all from Magic Kingdom. I hope you all had a fantastic day. I am actually jealous. Love the Magic. I'm not as jealous as my wife is if she's watching, because Magic Kingdom is her place to be. I got engaged there. Not a word of a lie. Mark Cliff, Kate Cole, hello. Peter John William MP Globetrotter Technologia. Did I say that right? Technologia. And then we got Canadian Ape, who has the Mini 3 Pro. Great drone, right? The Mini 3 Pro has served me well. My Mini 3 Pro is still under extended warranty, or at least the refresh status is still good till September. So my drone is like brand new. And we have ER First Responder, who says, "Hey, sweet cheeks," must be talking to somebody else. Melvin Sir says, if pulling trailer with pickup, if trailer is narrow enough to see truck lights, does trailer need lights? This is one of those strange questions. I think that whether it needs them or not, you are safer to have them, thus put them on. I've heard various things, and to be honest, I don't have a good answer for you. I would put trailer lights on any trailer to ensure you have the best chance of seeing. Because what happens when someone sees the trailer, the truck lights, and doesn't notice the trailer because it's not illuminated in any way? Yeah, just illuminate the truck, the trailer, wire it up properly for the amount of money you're going to invest. Whether it's legal or not legal, you'll be in a better situation to have it. Now, when you say pulling a trailer, is it a flatbed that has nothing on it and you never interfere with the lights on the truck? Like I said, you might make it okay, but it's one of those obscure questions that I don't have an answer for. It's obscure because I will always say put lights on, and I don't know what the other answer is. But I've had various conversations along these lines, and the one that wins, regardless of what's right, is put lights on the trailer. And what kind of trailer is skinny enough to? Yeah, no, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. Matthew says, "I'm hoping to become a cop, but I'm also getting a tattoo soon. Are cops allowed to have tattoos?" Yes, you can have a tattoo. But here's a hint: if it's racist or stupid and it's visible, it's going to cause you a problem. All the neck tattoos tend to be career limiting, although many police officers have them. I have a friend who actually moved here from Germany to become a police officer. He's a dual citizen, but he was not allowed to have a tattoo visible as a German cop. They're not allowed to have sleeves. And he had two full sleeves. So he came to Canada so he could fulfill his dream of becoming a police officer. Da, da, da. Oh, ER First Responder says, just make sure you're not in a no-fly area. Yes, droning is something you got to be responsible for. I have my basic operators. I want to take my advanced operation license soon, and you don't need a license for sub 250, but at the same time, you should know stuff. And the great thing about most drones, especially DJIs, is the fact that it has a system on board that tells you, hey, you should not be flying here. In fact, if it's an area that has a truly no fly zone, it won't let you even take off, which is good. It's self-policing, but it's done well. ER Responder says, if the trailer can at any time cover the truck lights, then yes, it needs its own lights. Oh, good for the answer. Thank you very much, ER responder.on.ca. Much appreciated. And is this the new account? Is this this is the new account, isn't it? I think he's my buddy who had to change his account name, and I didn't recognize you. I did not recognize you, but now I understand. It all makes sense now. If you're watching on TikTok, please tap the screen so your fingers go numb. It really does help the algorithm identify this as a worthy channel worth watching, and we want to help lots of people. So tapping the screen helps a lot. It's me, former YYZ Traffic. That's what I thought. It took me a moment. It all makes sense now. And now the Sweet Cheeks comment is far less creepy, strangely enough. What we got here? Do you have the ability to have a guest? I do. Would you like to be a guest? Hang on a second. I would love to have you jump in as a guest. Invite guests. Here we go. Stand by. I am going to text you the linkage. Hang on. I know the silence is deafening. Here we go. Message. Brian, I just sent you the link. You can come into Restream. It'll be awesome. Here we go. Have to leave an area. Oh, okay. Yeah. Do. All right, we're up to there. Matthew says the tattoo I wanted was just a small fish on my arm, which should be easy to hide. Right on. Okay, looking over here, looking over there. Oh, I have my music turned off. Why do I have my music turned off? Hang on. I love this song. It's chill. I was just listening to Barry Manilow with my kids. Barry Manilow. Not exactly something I thought I'd be talking about. We were talking about Copacabana, one of our favorite restaurants, and um, it spawned the conversation about having a song called Copacabana, and we listened to it for the first time. My kids actually dug it. They liked it. Crazy but cool. And then we listened to 5 other songs while cruising home. And yeah, I'm not a Barry Manilow fan, but my kids actually liked a couple of the tunes. And I will say that those tunes were pretty good, and we all knew them. Bernhard, good to see you, my friend. Bernhard is in process right now to be a special constable, and that is something we've not had an update on in a while. So if you got dad jokes, throw them into the comments, because we do read them at the end of the show. It's kind of a thing. Brandon says he'll be a guest when he gets back, maybe next week. Awesome. Look forward to it. MD Martin wants to know, do you carry a gold badge once you're retired? Gold badge is issued by the Police Association, but the Toronto Police will issue a badge that is your badge with the center punch saying retired, but it's not gold. Gold is for senior officers. 3 more. Okay, Bernhardt says 3 more days and training over. And then what? Where do you go? Do you know where you're going yet? That's exciting. Been watching the whole, approaching the police experience, the education experience, and then going into the whole in training. And now we're getting the out of training. I look forward to hearing about the whole experience, what you went through and how you liked it. Peter, what's going on? Odyssey. It's a good username. Are you going to 2 District? Cool. Not far from it. I spent a lot of time at 2 District. I had a lot of friends that went there. It's next to my favorite library. So I know exactly where you'll be. Very cool. We'll have to connect. I was at dinner tonight, and my friend came up and introduced me to someone who watches the show. And because this was an association of sorts evening, person came up and said, I watch you, I love the show, and they may be watching right now, so shout out to you. It was nice meeting you if you are currently watching, but you might still be enjoying dinner, because I left earlier than all the rest. Matthew says, have a nice rest of your night, Sean. Thank you very much. Restream wants a few what? No, it doesn't want a fee. It doesn't want a fee. It's free. You just come in as a guest. Hang on a sec. Let me make sure I gave you the right link. Guests are, unless you're registering an account, you don't even need to register an account. It's just to invite a guest. I have guests in all the time. They don't have to pay for anything. No, it's free. Free. I don't even think you have to have an account. At the very least, if it offers you to get an account, there's a free, like, you could be, so for anyone who doesn't know what Restream is what I use to multi-broadcast. It allows me to be on X, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, all at the same time. And you can have guests, up to 10 of them in any show, but you don't need to pay for that. Oh, he joined. Does that mean he's in? No, he's not in yet. In any case, if you're interested in using this, let me know, because I'll give you a coupon code. It may or may not give me a referral towards, like, a discount off of our renewal rate. I think it does. I think it gives you $5, gives us $5. That's not why I'm better that you get the $5. I give you all of it. I don't care. But if you want to use it, let me know. I'll give you a link. It's just a cool thing. Maybe I'll put that into a new directory on askatrafficcop.com. By the way, askatrafficcop.com is live. If you're new to the show and don't know where to go, then let me put that on the screen for you. It is a new thing. I'm really proud of it. I'm really happy with the way the website has come along. But I'll show you what it looks like. Just as soon as I figure out what button to press, here we go. I like it. So right here, it's the home of the show. Now, Ask a Traffic Cop is uh, a show that is put on and funded by Better Traffic, which is a not-for-profit that I created when I left the Toronto Police. And all of this is funded by private sector. There's no police money. There's no government tax money being used for this. It's just people who believe in traffic safety and want you to have the best understanding of everything. And we work with the traffic injury. Well, here, I'll hit the about button. And then, here's Better Traffic. You can go see the website, TURF, the Traffic Injury Research Foundation. And Right Track Racing, a buddy of mine who races, he built a drag car, and he does educational programs to schools all over the place. We're doing with Better Traffic the same thing, educational programs for schools, and I just did one for the military. Like we're trying to make roads safer. If you want to ask questions, you can hit a button and leave me voicemail, which I think is pretty awesome. And if you are looking for stuff, you want a dash cam, I have these. These are Amazon links. They do send money as a result. A commission will be given to Better Traffic as a kickback, as a thing. It just helps the show. It allows you to support the show without taking money out of your pocket, other than buying things you were going to buy anyway. And here's the funny thing, at least I think it's funny. I am here endorsing body cameras. I think people should have body cameras if they're in positions that are going to put them in harm's way with Karens and people giving them a hard time. Cell phones are great to record, but your cell phone needs your hands, and you might need your hands to defend yourself. GoPros are good too, but I think this is really cool. And I want to get one as a drone pilot, because so many people come up to you and say, "What are you doing here? What are you taking videos of?" And I'm like, screw you, I'm allowed to be here. But I want to have a video recording that, and I think that is something that people should consider. Different ways of securing your vehicle. Faraday bags. I love these things. Love these things. Different tech and tools. Like I never leave home without a Leatherman. Flashlights, you can rely on the one that you have on your keychain or your phone, I should say, but having one in your belt or your pocket is the way to go. Window brakes, I love them. Love them. LED road flares, love them. Making yourself visible, not to get hit by a car, also really a big fan. And then people always ask me about traffic or child seats, so I put the ones I recommend there. But if you have questions, if you've got stuff and things, check it out. And then, of course, Diamond and Diamond are sponsors, our big sponsors. And I love the floating head, the floating knee dancing on the screen. You can figure out what happens if you catch them. Okay, we are back. Let's see here. Stephen Bell says my wife got a new GPS screen for our, what is this? New GPS screen for our tip. You can't wait until what is this? A GPS, so a standalone GPS device that you will be using for your road trip. That's cool. I like that. Doesn't fall if it's not part of your cell phone. It's not under the distracted driving, although some would argue it should be. Angie and Ray and Richard Bowers, or is it really Bowers Richard? Anyway, welcome. Stand by for the hot shot. Watch every opportunity. Love the various content. Keep it up. Thank you, MD Martin. Appreciate you. Okay. What do we got here? Is Restream still not letting you in? Let me see if I can text him. Still having issues? Issues? Did she let him right in? I don't know. And sorry, I'm texting someone. Okay. Text, send. There we go. Multitasking. Oh, he says he's here. He says he's in. Stand by.
Can you hear me?
I hear you, responder. I don't see you.
Okay, it wasn't using the AirPods. That was the issue.
Oh, hang on. Let me pause the music so I can up your volume. Can everybody hear him?
Sorry about that. I'm kind of driving at the same time and talking to you.
Well, talking with your headset is okay.
Well, my AirPods weren't working, so I had to go to the phone speaker.
You're on speakerphone. Let me just, I want to test the volume. Everybody let me know if you can hear my guest.
I'll be home in about 2 seconds. That's why I chose to do this.
Let me Okay. I hear it. They can hear it. Cool. But if I need to boost you or drop you, I rely on the audience to let me know why or which direction it needs to go. Let's see here. And Anna C says, "Yes, I can hear them." Awesome. Sometimes when I have guests into the show, it makes them too loud or too quiet. So I rely on you to. Oh, and Melody says, "Never heard the music."
Yeah, I wasn't hearing music either.
How about now? Can you hear music?
No, I don't hear anything.
I hear music.
I was about to
Why
talk
doesn't
to you
anybody
like
else
I
hear
was
music is
looking
the
at you
question.
face to face. I
That's
was
so
going to
funny.
use social media.
We'll figure it out at some point. It usually works. That is weird. Okay. I was enjoying the music. If nobody else was hearing it, it's the theme
No,
song.
it actually wasn't coming across at all.
That is odd. That is truly odd.
But you use so many different social media networks. It's difficult to keep on top of everything. Because I saw you on TikTok.
Right on. Well, yes, I do use a bunch of different things, and I've got a lot of tech here that I route things backwards and forwards and upside down. And then when I have guests on, I have to route audio differently. Otherwise, you end up hearing yourself. So when I'm solo, music is easier. When I have guests, it's less easy. But I try and do everything. Otherwise, if I do the built-in music, like this is gonna be terrible. So I'm gonna hit the button. It's gonna get too loud.
No, I can hear it. Actually, I like it.
I love the song. It's AI generated. Can the audience hear the music, and is it too loud? Because at one point I
down
did this
to about a 3.
Okay. Well, if this is working, I'll leave it be because I like it. But if it's too loud, I will dump it because the audience is good. See, the audience says too loud, and that sucks.
That's what I mean. It needs to go down to
about a 3. If I drop it down
3.
here, is it still too loud?
It's about a 7 out of 10.
It's a which?
It's about a 7 out of 10 originally.
7.
You got it down to about a 5. A little.
See, now that's just at the mute button. That's as low as I can make it.
No,
is it still there?
Hold on, wait. Yeah, it's there, but it's about a 1 or a 2 now. It's perfect.
Okay, curious to know if everybody else can hear it. That is really low, and I can't hear it at all.
But it's still there.
Barely, I can barely there. But Anna had said that they could hear it. Melody, is it still too loud, or is it okay?
No, it's perfect. I think
it's about a 2 according to Melody. So is this a good one, Melody? We can leave it here.
Oh no,
you're backing up. See, and Bernhard says I can hardly hear it. Yeah, I can barely hear it. So at least it's not offensive. I'd rather have it being barely heard. And Melody says no louder than that. And Anna says a bit low. I can't make anybody happy today. But I'm glad it's not too loud, because too loud is no bueno. Just doesn't.
No bueno.
No bueno. Let's see here. Well, at least I can close this off now. Let's see what's going on with you. So for anyone who's listening who doesn't know who our guest is, he is an active duty. Am I allowed to say this? Are we saying we're doing this, or are we not doing that? How do we represent you? You represent yourself.
I'm here.
He's just here. He's the guy. He may know police stuff and things. He may know paramedic stuff and things. He knows about flying. He knows a lot of stuff and things.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm home.
Home is a good place to be.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. I'm settled. Yes, sorry about that. I was asking whether or not I could join. I wasn't expecting you to do it right away, but here I am.
This instant response, make it happen right now. It threw him off. So see, we don't mess around here on After Dark. But it's good to have you on. It's good to have you on. I don't know when's the last time we were on the same stream. It would be back at when I was on the job.
Dream, I don't know, but when was the last time we saw each other? It was at the auto show, or
auto show was the last time I saw you.
No, there was something else.
Police. Oh, it was. We were at the police memorial.
Yes, there it was. Thank you.
Yes,
and we
police
were
memorial where I tried to launch a drone, and for some reason my Neo would not go airborne after I flew it 5 seconds earlier.
No, it wouldn't.
So today I picked up, I don't know if you caught this part, but I picked up a Mini 4 Pro. And I like it.
Oh, okay.
You have the air, you're breaking up a bit.
Okay.
You're really breaking up. Okay, now I think you heard it. You're an Air 2.
Yeah.
You're all garbly googly. I don't know if you're switching over to it's really bad. I think we're not on your Wi-Fi. Maybe if you switch on to your Wi-Fi, it'll be better.
No, actually, I turned the Wi-Fi
I think you're on
on.
cellular-based data still, and it's no bueno. Oh, now you're going through again.
Yeah, give me a split second.
This is live. How do you know it's live? Because the tech wasn't working. That's how you know it's live. All right. So, are we connected? You have an Air 2, right? That's what you said? Now he's not here at all. Oh, well. If you got questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about that stuff and things. Those stuff and things. Yeah. And drones too. That's what we're talking about right now, because I'm excited about the new one that I got. Yeah. Brandon is taking off. He's going to bed. He's going on some rides. He's at the Magic Kingdom. He doesn't want to lose his phone. Have a good night, all. Thanks for the message. And have fun at the Magic Kingdom, a place where I'd love to be right now. So for those who don't know what's going on, Brandon is a chef. He jumped in his Corvette. He drove down to Florida, and apparently he keeps his car in Florida, and he's enjoying the Magic Kingdom now. And Orlando's a place to be. I like the most magical place on earth. I'm a big fan. The mouse and I have a good relationship. Just saying. Brian, you back? Brian is no back. He is no here. He is somewhere other than here. He's sort of back, but it's a really bad connection. It might be worth disconnecting and reconnecting when you're on your Wi-Fi. So, what's going on with everybody watching? What is happening in your neck of the woods? I had said I wanted to talk about a bunch of things.
Losing you.
Oh, he's sort of back. He's sort of not. This is Wi-Fi. You must be on a solid connection. Let's see here. Open up.
I lost your volume.
Lost. See, he's there. He's hearing some things.
I don't hear you at all. Freaking tech. Never works proper.
He can't hear us, but we can hear him. Can you, how about now? Can you hear? What's that commercial? What was that for? Can you hear me? How about now? How about now? How about now? I don't miss the technology of cell phones from 20 years ago, because it sucked in a big way, like in a super big way. It was no bueno. I'm going to say no bueno like 6 more times now that I've said it twice. Can't get it out of my head. Oh, he dumped the line, so he'll be back with a better connection. Or is he back already? I think he's back. Hey, now we hear you again.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It doesn't like the
I think you were switching. Was it the AirPods that were the problem, or was it switching over to your Wi-Fi? Because that tends to be a handoff issue.
First of all, it was switched off to the Wi-Fi, which improved the connection, and then I attempted to use the AirPods, but it doesn't like them for whatever reason.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Anna says that Disney is crazy expensive now. I thought they reduced prices to accommodate Canadians because no one's showing up, but I could be wrong. So one of our listeners is currently in Orlando and was tuning in to say hello from Orlando, but has said goodbye so he can go ride the rides without losing his phone.
I was watching a TikTok where somebody went there from the U.S. They were a U.S.-based family in Florida, actually. and I think it was a family of four, and they spent $1,000 basically for a single day.
And I've done the same. Oh, actually, I think I paid $1,000 for a 3 or 4 day pass,
No, this
which
was
is,
for a single day, apparently.
and I believe it, but it's not a good deal to go for a day. That's why they get you by getting you the primo. You spend very little bit more, and you get multi-day pass and multi-park pass. And I think that was good. I got to tell you, when I went to Disney, I originally got the hopper pass, which allows you to switch between parks throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I never used it. And this is where I think Disney was amazing. I told them that I never used it, and they refunded me the difference. Like they just said, "Yeah, you never used it. Here you go. We'll give you like the $80 a day or whatever it was." I was so impressed.
Oh,
So
wow.
impressed. That's customer service at its best. I didn't need to get anything back. I was just telling them I never managed to do it. They said, "Oh, let me help you out." Wow.
Well, there's a particular guy in TikTok that is quite a prolific creator, and he talks about Disney quite often in his TikToks.
Right on.
And yeah, he's you basically he's got a few TikToks that if you want to learn how to do Disney properly, go listen to his TikToks.
Please send me his link. I need to study from the masters of Disney. Absolutely.
Well, he does what is called the what. Let me make sure I get the proper grumpy gay rant is his.
Oh, I love his channel. Is that the?
Yes,
I'm pretty sure I know that guy. He's got a great channel. I didn't know he
yes,
did
he
Disney
does.
stuff.
And like he says he likes to worship at the altar of Mickey.
That's amazing. I've seen his stuff. I think I followed him when I was running the Toronto Police Channel, and since focusing all my efforts over on Voiceover Cop Channel, I've not followed as many people. I need to spend more time consuming, content.
Yes, he's got some great content, but a lot of the stuff he does is about Disney, so you got to pay attention and it'll come across. But he goes, I guess, once a year minimum. And I would hate to say how many times he's probably been there, but if you want to learn how to actually do Disney, he's probably the person to listen to.
Right on. I just want to address Bad Cat. Bad Cat 43 says, "So hard to find you. Too many more lives, intimately, YouTube, Instagram, etc." Not sure what you mean by the intimately, but there's just too many lives going on at the same time. If you go to askatrafficcop.ca, it's a direct link. It's a website that's specifically the show, and on there is links to all the channels that I have. If you watch on YouTube, you'll get notifications whenever I go live. But you can also do the same thing on TikTok. I think YouTube is a brilliant way to watch the show, especially if you've got an Apple TV and you want to watch me on full screen, high definition. Actually, I need to upgrade my whatchamacallit, my package with Restream to be able to do high definition. I've not done that. I want to do that, but that's the whole thing where I'm funding this out of my pocket and have some assistance from Diamond and others. But I'm being very frugal with the money that I put into this because it's expensive. It's amazing how much money I put into equipment when I left, because originally when I started the show when I was with the police, it was all my own equipment, and then the police upgraded all the equipment and I took all my equipment home. That stuff's all ancient now. So now, yeah. And then I went and recreated everything. So I had to buy everything again. It was wild. Anyway, I love it. I'm not complaining so much as I'm just saying it's expensive and I want to go high def so I can be on the big screen better. Bad Cat says, "Okay, thanks. Was here on my namesake, but got lost. Sorry, but got back. Was so hard." Okay. I'm glad you're back. If you have questions, this is the best time, the best place to ask them. Mind you, every day is the best time, best place. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. And it's so I can hang out with Brian at 9 p.m. Because you're around. It's so cool that you actually managed to jump on. I'm loving the fact that you're here.
So let me ask you a question. There's been a recent amendment to the Highway Traffic Act that opened up the ability to lay certain charges now, aside from stunt, on private property. Yes, careless. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a slippery slope. Careless is such an easy charge to lay because it covers everything, and I could see some potential misuse. But I'm glad that there's something there because for the people who are driving, that don't meet the qualification for stud, but are driving in such a way that they are putting others at risk on private property, like running the stop signs that are not enforceable or just doing silly things that meet the that should be enforceable but have up until now not been. I think that fits.
Yes. Like I agree 100%, and in the sense that it finally gives police the tools that they need to lay charges in circumstances where personal injury has taken place. And
Mhm.
before, because it landed strictly on private property, and yet the driver themselves have been operating a conveyance in a manner that would be considered careless, that resulted in injury, you, in the past, you were left with nothing that you could actually enforce other
Like
than writing
dangerous, which is criminal and way high for most things.
yeah,
Like not
the
appropriate.
threshold for dangerous is so high, and yet careless, meaning without due care and control, certainly would apply in many circumstances
Mhm.
where personal injury took place on private property. And yet, prior to, I think it was January, uh, that charge was not available.
So I think it's positive. I really do. As long as it's upheld in the courts, because the test of the courts, I've not had a lot of feedback as to whether or not it's there's convictions being registered. Maybe you've heard things. I haven't.
Well, I
I
don't think
haven't
it's been in
long enough.
existence long enough to actually reach the courts if charges have been laid on private property in order to test whether or not it's going to be applied uh, appropriately. However, like today, I was in court today, and I had several charges up, but every single one of them was withdrawn based. Pardon me. Pardon me. Based on 11B.
And 11B, for those who don't understand or are unfamiliar with it, is the fact that it took so long to get the trial, and you're entitled to a speedy trial. If it's more than, is it 18 months now? They're applying, they're responding favorably to 11B applications. So you say, I was here, I was ready, all the delays are not my fault, and they say, you're right, and they dismiss the charge.
Yeah, I don't know what the history was on many of these occasions or these charges leading up to this date, but the actual charge date was November, first week in November of 2023.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's getting close to only the
It
2 year
used to
mark.
be 12 months. It used to be 12 months. And I think with all the backlog that occurred during the vid, they just got in the habit of tossing a lot of stuff. And it was extended from 12 months to about 18 months. And I don't know if they've
Yeah,
reverted back to 12 months, but 12 months was always the number that, as far as I can remember.
I was kind of had in my head 14 months as being an appropriate length of time, but yeah, I think because of COVID back in the day, they extended it to 18, and then they might be slowly ratcheting it back to 12.
Mhm. And if you look at other jurisdictions, it's like you're getting full on trials in like no time. I'm actually going to be appearing in court for a friend, just guiding them. I'm not defending them. I'm not a person who is an agent. I don't do traffic ticket defense. But a friend of mine, uh, actually their father, was charged for fairly aggressively for a collision that occurred. A pedestrian struck, and they were charged for careless cause bodily harm. And then another collision occurred in the same intersection a couple of weeks later, and a similar scenario, person hit in the crosswalk, and they were charged for careless. So what is the threshold for careless cause bodily harm versus careless? Both of them resulted in a pedestrian being injured. Why is one person getting a very serious charge with the potential of jail time and the other person getting a fine? So I that's why I'm involved, because I'm curious as to
Well,
what the
the question
politics
I
would
would
play out.
have is, was disclosure was disclosure received where the injuries indicated that it met the threshold of bodily harm in both cases?
So here's the thing. What do you think the threshold is? Because I've been told the threshold could be a bruise. And in this particular situation, the pedestrian received a broken wrist. A 60-plus-year-old woman was struck. No question about it. There was injuries, minor abrasions, and that is bodily harm. But where is the, broken leg, never going to walk again go if a bruise or a minor fracture is now the threshold for
Well,
harm?
they haven't come across with careless, like aggravated careless, where that would be broken leg, never walk again. Bodily harm meets, I think, my thought is that it's something broken all the way up to never could walk again.
But that's a pretty low bar. If the other person got a broken arm, well, why did that person get a careless and not a careless cause bodily? Like in Toronto, my understanding is it needs Crown approval before you can lay that charge. I may be incorrect about that. That's my understanding. This did not occur in Toronto.
I don't know. I don't think, like, I've laid 2 in my career of bodily harm, careless cause bodily harm, but they were egregious incidences.
And then there'd be no question.
And
I think, like many things, it's too
I never
easy.
sought Crown approval in either one of those cases. But that being said, I don't recall specifically what the outcome was. I maybe should, like, I don't recall the Crown ever reaching out to me after the fact and having a Crown consult or anything of that nature.
Maybe things have changed, but that's what I was under the impression of. Just to go back here, I got a couple of people making comments, and let's see what they have to say. So, Anna says, I never get notifications, even though I've set it up to get them on TikTok. It's hit or miss. I don't know how that works. It used to be much better at sharing my content, and now I don't know. The algorithm shifts and changes. But if you got the bell set up and it doesn't notify you, we should test that out, or I should find out why that's happening. That you're not getting notified, but you will get notified on YouTube. Also, if you know somebody who is on YouTube or wants to get the magical driver's handbook read to them, I am releasing chapters weekly where I go through and actually read it page by page, chapter by chapter. It is thoroughly not exciting, but we're getting through it. But that's only on the YouTube channel. Let's see here. Dylan says, I'm applying to the OPP. Any advice for OPC? Well, first you got to get hired, but the OPC better get used to liking eggs a lot. What was your favorite thing about OPC? Least favorite thing?
My least 5 o'clock runs, but I went in January, so I was doing I was doing the 5 a.m. run at in the middle of January, and yeah, that was my most least favorite part of OPC.
Yeah, I'm not a runner. No.
Neither
I don't
am
like
I.
any of the grueling stuff. But I will tell you that having been a court officer first, the stuff that they used to do to us made OPC look like a cakewalk.
Oh, really? Where did you train as a court officer? Where did they
Toronto, at CO BIC originally.
Was it at BIC?
Yeah, it was at BIC, and we did Elevator Appreciation Day. And that was where the entire are you familiar with this?
No.
So Elevator Appreciation Day is where we took a punching bag, like a full-on punching bag. I don't know if it was the full. It was a big punching bag.
Yeah,
and you and your partner
weigh about
side by side.
pounds.
Sorry?
The ones that weigh about 120 pounds.
I don't think it was the full height one. I think it was a half height. I don't remember exactly. I just hated it. So you were side by side going up and down the stairs. So you would go up and down the stairs, and you'd hand off the punching bag to the next person in line, and you would go up and down again, and you did that until everybody got through carrying the punching bag. And by the end of it, you were dying. It was miserable. There were people puking. It was not good. Apparently, you're not allowed to do it anymore. But that was definitely a memorable moment.
So I have a friend of mine that I've been kind of mentoring a little bit, trying to get them through the selection process for Toronto. And they just recently went and did the physical down at Toronto College. So they did the prep I guess, or the obstacle course along with the beep test. And of course, they're pretty fit individual, but what was interesting, they didn't make it. Like they went through the obstacle course and they missed it by, I think, something like 20 seconds. So they didn't quite make the time. But
which was this for? The pursuit restraint or the run?
The pursuit restraint.
See,
With the.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very familiar. See, the pursuit restraint was always a really easy for me because as a big guy, it was easy to throw the machines around and jump the wall.
Okay, but when you did it, did you have to do it with a vest and a belt?
Yep.
Okay, because how long ago did you do your testing?
That would have been I switched over from quartz in 2012.
12, okay, because I did it in 2000. And I remember having some kind of weighted belt on. It wasn't a
I had a weighted
belt.
It's 20 pounds.
20 pounds for the belt?
I thought so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I had a belt and I had a vest, and I did it originally. So I came on in 2000 when you came on.
See, I don't recall doing it with the vest. I do recall the belt, but I don't think back in.
Oh, maybe maybe there was no vest. Maybe it was just belt.
I'm thinking for me back in 2000, it didn't require a vest, but it did require a belt, like a weighted sand belt or something you put on and you went and ran it. So the point of this conversation was the fact that they put the 20-pound belt on the vest that equals about 20 pounds, and they went and did the pursuit training, and they said it was such a game changer compared to what they've been doing prior to going in there. So anybody that's training, that's looking at policing as a career, should look at adding 20 pounds extra to their workout, whether it's in the form of a vest or a belt or something of that nature.
And you can buy those vests anywhere now.
Yeah, apparently. Well, that's what they did. They've gone online and they purchased a 20-pound vest in order to supplement their workout. And I never thought of that before. And during this entire conversation I've been having, encouraging them on their pursuits here, I've never thought about adding that as a component to their training. But if you got people online that are looking to do this and they're doing their training, hint, get a vest, 20 pounds, put it on, try your run now. Like do your interval training with that vest on.
Just do it, make it the standard for you for doing everything.
Yeah, I would suggest that.
You'll destroy it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, just for in terms of Dylan's question about OPC advice is just don't stop training. Make it part of your lifestyle. It's not something you do to pass. It's something you do from this point forward to make you a not only an excellent applicant, but a cop who can survive the streets, because fitness is huge. And this is coming from a fat guy who did not, manage to maintain that level. Partially because I got injured at some point. I let myself go, and that's probably when I got hit by a car. But I gained some weight and I didn't exercise anymore because I wasn't physically able to. But maintaining a level of fitness is so important in policing. I just want to pop over here. Allie has a question. I live in Windsor lately. Our cops are being more strict. Even going 62 and a 50 have been pulled over a lot in my area. You're asking why you're getting a ticket for 12 over? Because you're breaking the law. And they're probably getting pressure from the city and their management to strictly enforce speed limits, because the law says you can't speed. And if you're speeding, you are eligible and very deserving for a ticket.
Well, my understanding is automated cameras are pretty much geared at about 11 kilometers an hour. I think it is.
I think it's 10%. I've never been told the exact number.
I think it's 1 kilometer over that. I think it's 11. I don't quote me on it, because I actually got one recently. 2 years of driving around Toronto, I actually got one, but I actually got it right at 11 kilometers an hour, which was a little
on the cusp.
Yeah, basically right at the point in which I was told 11. I can't remember exclusively where I heard that. And of course, I get a piece of paper in the mail saying that I had a ticket on, oh geez, I can't even remember. I think it was the East Mall or something like that in Etobicoke for 11 kilometers an hour. I'm looking at it thinking, when the heck did I do that?
I got to tell you, I was on my way to a military base in Toronto, and there are military bases in the city because I was doing some presentations at one, and this is going back a couple years ago, and I remember passing by and seeing a sign, and then in the sort of the same second, seeing the machine, like the camera, and then realizing that the street had changed the speeds. It was no longer 60, it was now 50, and having a miniature heart attack, realizing that I was 10 over. And I never got a speeding ticket. So, I was 10 over. And that coincides with your 11 over. I was under the cusp.
Yeah, something in the back of my head that tells me the magic number is 11, but regardless,
You
speeding
should,
is speeding.
yeah. But I
And
think you're talking about cops in particular enforcing 12 over. And the truth is,
well,
if they're doing a blitz, if they're doing a community safety zone education package, if it's near schools, if they're having problems in the area, if there was a collision, if there was complaints from the community, all
well,
those factors weigh into it.
every one of those speed cameras are in a community safety zone. If
But
I
he wasn't talking about
recall.
cameras; he's talking about police officers.
No, I understand that. That's the point I'm making is, and I'm starting at the cameras, is that the cameras themselves are in community safety zones. I think they're set for 11 kilometers an hour.
Mhm.
And therefore, if you carry it over into
Regular enforcement.
the policing, like the regular enforcement for police officers, they may get direction from their supervisor stating that, the threshold is 11 to match the
Well,
cameras
here's the
themselves.
thing. It tends to go in cycles. Like where people are directed. I remember being in the motor squad and being told, "Hey, we're having a problem in this area. We've been asked to increase our focus in this area." So
Yes.
that means you go there and you don't give people 15 kilometers because it's 30 or 40 or 50-kilometer speed zone. It's inappropriate to let someone go that many kilometers over. Think about this. In a 60, 15 over is 25% over the posted limit. 25% is insane. Like,
yeah, when you break it down in that manner, absolutely. If you were to say, okay, it's a 25% increase in the posted speed limit, or you're looking at it at a 40% or a 50% increase, people would say that's absolutely irresponsible. Pardon me,
yeah,
irresponsible of the
look at a
driver.
30. If you're doing 45 and a 30, you know,
Yeah.
it sounds much more impactful to talk about the percentage over the posted speed limit that you're traveling at.
Yeah, than the actual number of the kilometers over the limit. But yes, 100%. When you put it in context like a percentage, it really drives home specifically what the speed differential really is.
And then if you start talking about like I think it's always been 10% because you're going to get a ticket in a 30 if you have an automated enforcement camera at a faster than you would on a 60. I just think they're going to nail you faster. And if maybe I'm incorrect, but I think it's 10%. Just want to go to that. I had it on the screen for a few minutes. Red light on motorcycle won't change your weight. Police scene says okay for him. I don't know, that wording sounds odd, but I think what they're saying is Bad Cat, who wants to know about being stuck at an intersection because the light will not change. They're in the middle of the night. There's nowhere to go. It's not changing. What do you do? Well, in
Make a
other
right turn.
places, what's that?
What I've ran into this issue. I'm not gonna lie. Because I ride. You've ridden, and I ride with Toronto, and I've come to intersections that have that sensor for the metal. So it's a induction loop, and it measures the level of metal within a motor vehicle. And of course, when you're riding some of these sport bikes or smaller cruisers, they don't have a great deal of metal. And the sport bikes generally have aluminum. Smaller cruisers,
They don't
obviously not
displace.
as much.
They don't trigger the thing. I've used
Yeah.
rare earth metal magnets in the bottom of my bike. I've had good luck with that. I don't know if it does anything, but
Well,
psychologically, I think it
I've
does.
seen them advertised where you can
Mhm.
strap them to the back or the bottom of the bike, and that's what it's designed to do, is to trigger the induction loop. But what I've done is actually I put the kickstand out, I got off the bike and went and pressed the little button for the pedestrian cross in order to get around it.
Well, I've done that as well. And people have said, isn't it dangerous to get off your motorcycle and walk away? I'm like, there's nobody there. If there was a concern for security, maybe I'd do it differently. Or I'd say, hey, buddy, instead of stealing my bike, could you go and press the button for me? I've waved cars up closer to me if there were cars.
Yeah, I've done that too. I pulled off to the
and
side
finally
and
right turns and U-turns.
Because you can usually see where the induction loop is actually set within the in the asphalt, because you can see the lines where they've cut the asphalt out and put the loop in. So, reposition your bike over top of the loop to ensure that you're over top of it. Move yourself over to the right-hand side and wave a car further up in order to trigger the induction loop. Get off the bike, press the pedestrian, make a right-hand turn. There's so many different things you can do. It is aggravating, though.
Oh, it totally is. Anna wants to know why the law isn't more clear when it comes to these things. This comment was originally left when we were talking about careless and cause bodily harm. But the truth is, it applies to everything. Why are the laws not super, super clear? And I think it's because lawyers need to keep getting paid. And if they made it plain old English, they wouldn't need lawyers.
Well, that's where you're, oh gosh, I'm now having a brain fart. I apologize for that. You talk. It'll come to me in a split second. I'm sorry.
No, don't sweat it. Brain farts are a regular occurrence here.
That's where case law comes in, and it will define specifically what the thresholds are. So you would have to reference case law.
Yeah, and then for case law to happen means it has to be before the court. There has to be a decision made, and it's not a perfect system. I think, though, that while case law is wonderful, the law itself should be written in a way, like I think there should, for unnecessary slow driving, or why not actually say unnecessary slow driving is based on a minimum X number of kilometers under the posted speed limit, because right now it's so, just the officer thought so.
I think probably because every environment can be a little different, and to be able to write a law to be applied to every specific environment, it can be a little tricky or a little overly verbatim.
I think there should be some guidance, because right now every person who reads it goes, huh? How do I apply that? Then they apply it, and then they find out in court that it gets tossed or it doesn't get, I would just like it to be more clear. And when I say, for instance, minimum speeds, you can always say you should have gone slower or it doesn't apply here. But at very least, it should not apply to doing 10 kilometers under. And it certainly should be very clear that it does not go 10 kilometers under the person who's doing 30 over. There's so many misunderstandings about it. It leaves so much room for issues. But I don't disagree with you. Everything. You need some ability to be objective and subjective.
Well, I'd agree with you in certain circumstances, like bodily harm. Go back to the glossary. What equals bodily harm? And have a very specific definition as to what bodily harm is. So when you're looking at something like careless cause bodily harm, it's pretty straightforward.
Except I thought when I looked at the definition that it was something to the effect of like a bruise. Let's see here. Definition of bodily
more
harm.
Than transient nature is bodily harm.
But so what is a wrist fracture
transient? A bruise would be transient in nature in the sense that it heals and you would never realize that there was ever a bruise, but there is always evidence of a break, for example, in a bone. So I could break a bone. Yes, it could heal. Yes, there could be no long or lasting effects. But if a medical professional were to do an x-ray of that specific area, they could go back and say, yes, there was a break there in the past. So
bodily harm in my mind,
that's says, more than transient.
So bodily harm in the criminal code apparently says any hurt or injury to a person that interferes with the health or comfort of the person, and that is more than merely transient or trifling in nature.
There you go.
But the hell does that mean? Really? There's a lot of words that don't mean shit, and that's what we got right there.
Yes, I don't disagree with you. For the layman, yes, it probably the big question mark pops up. But at the same time, more than transient or trifling. So a bruise would be transient and trifling. A break in a bone would be more than transient or trifling.
Now,
And I think that's
careless driving
exactly
causes
what the
bodily
SIU
harm.
is used.
When we read the careless driving caused bodily harm or death, and bodily harm and death, when you put death on the
Well,
same
death
line as
is
bodily
pretty
harm, it should be
straightforward. I don't think
significant.
we need a definition for that.
No, but again, if you've got careless driving,
Mm-hmm.
which says every person is guilty of an offense of driving carelessly who drives a vehicle or streetcar on a highway or in a specified place without due care and attention or without reasonable consideration for other persons using the highway or a specified place, which now includes private property. That does not involve anybody getting hurt, period. But now you put careless driving where somebody gets hurt or
Yes.
killed in one thing. Like I think it should be divided into two things. One got a boo-boo, one dead. One got really, really hurt. Like you need to divide these things or clearly define them. So the careless driving.
I think I understand what you're saying. I think that's where the case law comes in, where it kind of clearly defines specifically what exactly bodily harm would constitute, and that's where your transit and trifling definition would come in.
I'm still looking for any definition under the Highway Traffic Act other than sentencing aggravating factors where the court may impose sentences for an offense under subsection 3, blah, 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 blah. That evidence that the bodily harm or death, they're just too close together.
Well, why don't you ask your audience what they think what the definition of bodily harm is?
Well, there we go. The question's being asked. The gauntlet thrown. What do you guys think? Is a wrist or hand or twisted ankle, or broken leg? What is the threshold before you think bodily harm and the chance of jail time for careless driving versus
so you have an individual driving without due care and control on private property or the highway, ends up injuring another individual, generally a pedestrian in this case, or a cyclist, and they have a bruise, they have a sprained ankle, or they have a broken bone. We won't get specific.
Fracture, no pin set. It's a fracture.
A fracture, just a broken bone.
They need a cast.
Which one of those equals?
Well, hang on. We got to go a threshold higher because we've got bruise, we've got scratch, we've got cut, we've got fracture, we've got clean break with pins, we've got loss of limb. There's a lot there's a lot.
I'm gonna say loss of limb automatically is definitely bodily harm. Okay, but
which one's bodily harm for sure?
Oh yeah, that's 100%. I don't think we need a definition there. But yeah,
for which one?
I loss of limb.
Well, that to me, that's where you start getting into bodily harm, or even pin set. When you have
really
when the person's on in a wheelchair because they have 27 pins in. Sorry.
So I have an individual that's walking out of Walmart. You got a dummy that's ripping across a parking lot, not paying attention, texting on their cell phone. All of a sudden, hits this person. They go flying up and over the vehicle. They get a skull fracture, a broken wrist, a punctured lung. Okay. However, they didn't lose their limb, and you're going to tell me that that's not bodily harm?
No, I think that is. But I think there's a big sliding scale of I have a fracture, I'm going to wear a cast or a compression bandage for 6 weeks, I'm going to be fine. It's not tripping. It's still a break.
Well, you look at your collision itself with you on the motorcycle.
That guy got
was
charged.
Was that bodily harm?
Nope. Well, that wasn't considered bodily harm. It was. Then I don't think the charge existed. Maybe it did.
Well, no. Let's apply it to today's standards.
It changed my life going forward. So yeah, it was bodily harm. It was long term. It took years and years to get to the point. I think it's bodily harm.
I do too. I don't disagree with that. But
I guess where I'm getting at is, I flew 25 feet in the air type thing over somersault, landed, emergency run. They thought they were taking my leg. It was not. I got a cut on my elbow,
Exactly.
or I have I have a twisted ankle. Like, I'm just saying there should be some very clear definition. And I'm not trying to reduce the impact and saying someone who is hurt did not suffer. I'm just saying, how do you put the threshold of whether or not the person who fell down broke their wrist when they fell down or when they got hit by the car? I get it. There's still the driver's 100%
Here,
responsible.
let me make it even more complicated for you. You have an individual that is mentally traumatized by the fact that they were struck by a motor vehicle. So they didn't suffer any broken bones, but let's say they went over the hood of the car and landed on the ground with a few scrapes and bruises.
Mm-hmm.
Is that bodily harm?
Dude, it's so subjective. And really, my problem is less that there is a charge that could be appropriate and more that it is left up until the person who's on the ground to make that decision. I appreciate that I can lay charges or could lay charges as a police officer. And my goal was always to lay the most appropriate. But when two people go to the same collision and when the person leaving with a ticket in their hand or a summons to court is treated differently on the same scenario, like there should be a very clear indication. This is the threshold.
Well,
this is how you
I don't disagree, because in fact, I've had this conversation in the last couple of weeks with one of my recruits. He's exceptional as a brand new police officer. Like, I'm very impressed with this gentleman's capabilities and the way he applies the law. And I would like to take a great deal of credit for his application of the law. But him and I get into these conversations the same way you and I are in this conversation.
Yeah.
And he is looking at even newer recruits that are coming on after him. And some of the application of the law that these newer recruits, he's coming to me going, this is what they did, XYZ. And you're like, I think that's absolutely excessive and blah, 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 blah. And I'm looking at him going, well, I taught you right.
Well, here's the thing.
I agree with you. I think this is somewhat excessive. And
the law is not black and white, even though it's black and white, right? It's like there has to be some
level of discretion.
Discretion's a big part of it. And I can see a lot of I can run it through my head, like whenever I was in a scenario why I laid the charge that I did. But more often than not, I was laying charges less serious because I had conversations with prosecutors. I had conversations with justices of the peace who were asking in plain English, we want more appropriate charges, not always blanket charges of careless. So when they're saying careless is too serious, we want more appropriate charges. How do we then get coppers who are charging careless cause bodily harm? Anyway.
Yeah, I've always approached it with, what is the most appropriate charge? What is the spirit of the law? Mm-hmm. And I try to keep that in my mind. When I'm applying whatever charge to whatever investigation that I'm completing, what is the spirit in all this? What is society attempting to achieve by laying this charge? And it's change of behavior, correct?
100%. But here, I want to add something that Bad Cat, I just noticed a comment. 75 years old to 29 years old, injuries could be very different. I 100% agree with you. So here's the thing. In insurance world, you take your patient as you find them. If they're 75 or 25, if they have a bad back already, or they have a bad back now, it's irrelevant. You take them as someone who can no longer walk, can no longer talk, can no longer do whatever they did before. You're responsible from an insurance perspective, and the payout is according. But let's say you make a left turn or a right turn, you hit a pedestrian because you did something dumb, and it wasn't intentional, but it was careless. It was something. If you're involved in a collision, the collision was avoidable. You've done something wrong. It's careless. Like that, very little you can get away with from staying outside of that charge realm. But should you go to jail because it was a 75-year-old versus not going to jail because you were a 25-year-old? That's where I say it doesn't need to change based on the patient. It's based on the action. And if the 75-year-old broke their legs because they were brittle and older, whereas the younger person, had great muscle development and they bounced and flew and didn't get seriously injured, should you go to jail because the older person got more severe injuries because they were older? Like, this starts getting into the really nitty gritty of
Yeah,
which.
you're really getting into the weeds on that one.
But the reason I'm having this conversation is this all started with me talking about the fact that I'm going to court soon, to advise, not to defend or act on their behalf, but to discuss with them and help explain to them what's going on in court, because they're a little confused. So if the person you struck was young and didn't get hurt, but the other person was old and
Yeah,
got
so
more severely
you
hurt,
make a
they
left
got hurt because
turn
they
at
fell.
10 kilometers an hour. You hit a person who's 25 and they bounce and they get up and they walk away. Should that be careless? Or in the exact same scenario, the individual that you struck is 70 years of age. They have osteoporosis. They have brittle bone disease. They fall over, land on the ground, and they fracture their hip and their arm or whatever the case may be. Should that be careless cause bodily harm?
And I get it that there's mitigating factors, and you can't control what the patient is or the victim is in this situation. How do you then put one person in jail and the other person not? Either they both go to jail or they both don't. I think the law has to be
What
applied
does your
equally
audience
based
say?
on the intent.
I'd be interested to hear what your because I'm in your restream. I'm not in TikTok, so I can't see all your comments.
So let's see here. We've got no comments from Bad Cat, even though we're talking about their comment. Spider 3 Aces says, I hear someone, but I can't see them.
That's because I don't have my video on.
No, yeah. But he's an audio only guest. I don't see him either. But just to cover a couple people who've been chatting here, and we've been ignoring them because we're deep in the weeds. Roz says, "How you doing tonight? Doing well. Thanks for asking." Bernhard said, "The pursuit restraint with belt is 2:37 or faster, 2 minutes 37 seconds. Then you get a 15-minute break before doing a level 7 on the shuttle. Ugh, I hate the shuttle run so much." Bad Cat says 220 plus 20 vest is
PTSD from
interesting.
the shuttle run.
I hate that thing. That was the bane of my existence. That's the reason I didn't apply for so long. I had to get 5.5 to get hired as a court officer back in the day, which I did, without dying. But to get to level 6.5, which I needed to graduate from OPC, it's now changed to 7.
It's
7.
But,
or was it 6? Maybe I had to get 6.
When I did I did ATC, applicant testing service. So private company. Okay. So in order to do that, so it was 6.5 for acceptable, and then 7 is what you had to get to, and it was called superior at that time, I guess.
I did not get superior. I stopped the moment I passed.
And superior was what you had to achieve at OPC in order to graduate. So
you had to get superior to graduate?
Yeah, you had to get acceptable to get hired, superior to graduate, and that was the understanding. So I did my shuttle run, and I hit 6.5, and I went, oh my God, I achieved what I wanted to achieve, and I was starting to gear myself down. I was about to, give up. And I had this gentleman next to me who obviously runs like 1 million marathons a day, that kind of guy. And he looks at me and he says, "Come on, it's only 4 more." And I went, "What?" And he goes, "Come on, follow me." So I, like, not paying attention or, in that kind of zone. Okay, fine. I'll just listen to what he's telling me because I don't know what the hell's going on right now. And so I picked up my pace and I started following him. And he says, "Yeah, we only got 4 more lengths to do, and then we get superior." And I went, "Oh, okay. Now I understand what he's doing. He's motivating me."
Right.
So I followed him. So we did the other 4. I managed to push myself to get to the superior level. I got past my own brain dam or whatever barrier that I had going on there. But once I crossed the line and they said, "Congratulations," I turned around and there's doors leading to the parking lot in the gym of the school that I was in running this. And I
Yeah.
walked right through those doors, walked right out into the parking lot, and
Puked.
threw up all over the place.
So,
Oh my
so
God.
I got a story for you because
It
my
just
story is a
about
little different
killed
for.
me.
Oh, well, I'll tell you my story in a sec. But first, I just want to acknowledge this comment, and it's from who's it from? Bad Cat, who says there's no way an already hired copper, I'm paraphrasing, could make it today. Those tests need to be done every few years. There is actually an incentive for police officers or members of the service to do their fitness pin annually, where they would have to meet the minimum requirements for graduation to get it. You'd have to do the shuttle run and so on, and they have testers, and you actually get awarded like TO in your bank if you make the grade. It's not mandatory, but that's a goal that they want everyone to be able to do, and it's a great goal. But let me tell you about my shuttle run. So at
Well,
OPC, I
just
got
before
injured.
you go in there, I just want to
Yeah,
say that this year, last February, I actually got my fitness pin the very first time I've ever achieved. Like, I've never actually gone to get my fitness pin, but after 24 years of service, I actually went and tested for my fitness pin and I passed
good for
after
you.
24 years. I'm 56 right now and I managed to get my fitness pin. So there you go.
Now I will say that the standard changes as you age, right? So it's easier to
Yes,
meet that. You have to
it
do less
does.
to,
But
to meet the same.
surprisingly, some of the standards actually get worse. Like
Really?
these, yes. You know the flex part? You know where you have to sit there and do that flex where
The
you
planking,
put your no, you
sit and reach.
put yeah, the sit and reach thing. Yeah, the older you get, the further you have to actually reach in order to get the higher score.
Well,
Because
there's
apparently
total squares
older
to
people are
yeah.
more flexible than younger people. Bullshit, to say the
I've been
least.
very tempted. This is where my mental gerbil's been going, in that I missed the job so much I've thought about coming back. And I'm trying to think about what do I have to do if I want to come back. And I don't qualify. Like, I was injured on the job and I left as an injured guy. But if I want to come back, I imagine I've got to be able bodied. So I'm like, in my mind, how do I develop a workout plan to be able to pass all the tests that I have to pass? I'm not there. I'm also not applying. It's my own little mental torture test for myself because I
Hmm.
miss it. I miss hanging out with you
Yeah,
and
we
the
miss you
gang.
too.
It's
To
really
be honest.
tough. Yeah, I think I torture myself 3 times a day about was leaving the right thing. And it's not that I left for the right reasons. I do the things that I do for the right reasons, but it doesn't to fill the gaping hole in my heart about not being a cop anymore. So I've thought about coming back. We'll see where it happens. I actually talked to the chief about it briefly when I saw you last, and he's like, well, maybe you should come back. So we'll see.
Well, to be honest, I went to a collision scene about 3, 4 weeks ago, and I pull up and I get out, and one of the officers from the division is dealing with the individuals involved in that collision. So he's doing his thing. I pull up as a member of traffic services, and I'm waiting to see whether or not he's going to take the investigation or whether I'm going to take over. So I'm being very patient. I'm looking at this guy, and I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, this guy looks so familiar to me. So I actually reach out and I grab his uniform and I pull him around to look at his name tag. And sure enough, it's a guy I worked with out of 31 Division for years. And I'm looking at him going, oh my God, Lance, how you doing?
Yes, he came back
And
from retirement.
yes, after what, 3 or 4 years of being
Yeah,
retired, he came back and I'm looking at him. He looks amazing. Like, he looks in such great shape. Obviously, the 3 years off did not affect him other than make him actually look like amazing, and
I love
he's
that
got
guy. He's
such a
fantastic.
glow to him, and he was such a great officer. He was such
Hmm.
a great person to work with when I was at 31 Division, and to see him come back and to hear his story as to why he came back is so inspiring. And that's when I learned that, even after you retire, we're um, so much in a need for experienced officers that they're actually willing to hire back former Toronto police officers that have retired for several years.
Yeah.
So yes,
Sergeants, they're
it is
reaching out to
possible for
sergeants saying we
you.
need more sergeants. Come out of retirement.
Yeah. That being said, I may have put my paperwork in.
No.
Yeah, I
You're
may
pulling the
have.
pin?
No, for promotion.
Oh, good for you.
I yeah, I filled out a few things. I'm still waiting for my supervisor to approve it. But yeah, I may be doing the test. Damn it.
Well, I've done the test a number of times, and I can tell you that I have a strange response to reading that stuff, and it's this instantaneous yawning. I cannot stop yawning. I cannot study that anymore.
I did
I
it once. I wrote the exam way back in, I think, 2007, 2008, and I read through the package once. Went in because I knew at that level of experience as a police officer, the likelihood of getting promoted was next to zero. However, I did want the experience of writing the exam and just seeing basically how the questions are formulated and things like that. So I went through the package, and again, it's like anybody that wants to know, we have a specific sergeant's study package.
Mhm.
Usually consists of about 300 pages of information through our policy and procedure manual, the structure of the Toronto Police Service, certain things like that. And you study that, and then they give you how many, something like 100, 110 exam questions or
I
some
don't remember.
ridiculous amount like that. Well, I read through the package once, and I wrote the exam, and I got 70%. And yes, reading through that package, it is enough to put you to sleep for the rest of your life.
But
It is the driest information you've ever read in your life.
so you have to know that not only is it dry, but it's like you have to. It's not just knowing it. They can ask you the same thing and move a comma, and like one's right and one's wrong. So you really need to memorize it. It's wild. But I did that when I became an auxiliary sergeant. So I studied the giant book. I became an auxiliary sergeant. I then went and,
Mm-hmm.
and studied to become a supervisor in court services. I studied it. I took the test. I passed. I got an interview. I passed. I became a supervisor. Then I took it for sergeant. And I'm like, I know this stuff. It's not learning anymore. It's like in my head, I know it, but I need to still go beyond knowing it. I have to breathe it and know it to the punctuation points. I couldn't do it. I think I wrote 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, I just can't bring myself to study to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. But oddly enough, the HDA I can totally get myself interested in,
Oh yeah,
because that's what my thing. That's my bag. That's my thing.
yeah.
A
Well,
comment
it's
here.
a
I got
big difference.
146 kilometers in a 90 zone. Is it worth fighting it in court to lower the penalty? Fighting it in court. So here's something to do. Take the opportunity to meet with a prosecutor. It's one of the options in the back of the ticket. Talk to the prosecutor. They might give you an opportunity to reduce it without ever going to court. It's called a first appearance. They tell you what they're willing to do. You say yes or no. If you say no, you can still go to court. At court, you can either ask for another deal or you can fight. But fighting, how do you fight when you're doing 146 and a 90? There's no fighting. I don't think you're done. However, they might show leniency, like if you say, "I'm totally guilty. I'm an idiot. I should never have done that. I learned my lesson." There's a thing. What do you think?
Well, my opinion is the Charter of Rights and Freedoms state that you have the right to face your accuser, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So taking it to court, there's nothing shameful at taking it to court, but I agree with you in the sense that the language use of fighting it um, is something that I wouldn't use. You're not taking it to court to fight it. You're
You're negotiating.
taking it to mitigate the penalty. You're
Yes.
accepting responsibility for your actions. You're agreeing to the fact that you were a dummy on the road, and you're, 146 in a 100 zone. Like, come on, you were
in a 90 zone. Never mind.
Or sorry, a 90 zone. Like 146 in a 90.
Yeah.
Isn't that stunt driving?
Yeah.
That should be 56 over, right?
Yeah.
I would say count your blessings if you just got a speeding ticket.
Right, because that should have been suspension, impound, 1 to 3 year driving prohibition. I mean, okay, you're going to court anyway. This isn't even a question if it's stunt driving. So you're going to court. Now it's a matter of whether or not you are going to get a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition or a $2,000 to $10,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. So yeah, with stunt being on the game board, you need to get representation, and is my opinion, or at very least talk to a prosecutor, ask for disclosure, ask for a position being, what do they want from you? They might say, we want, a 3 year driving prohibition and $5,000. That might work for you, that might not.
Yeah, because our computer system, like all our tickets are done electronically now. And when I clicked on speeding the other day, I pulled somebody over for speeding, and they had gone beyond the threshold of stunt driving. But me being a nice guy, I decided that based on the circumstances in which I was investigating, I would just do them for the speeding and not the actual stunt. I'm not going to get into all.
Or I did not do that again.
No,
I gave one person a reduction. I never did it again.
You probably would under these circumstances. I'm not going to get into the full details, but I made the decision to
here's the thing. I've done the same thing. I did it once. What pissed me off is that person still showed up to court to try and finagle their way out of it. They already saved their job by not being, losing.
I didn't reduce it. Let me rephrase that. At the time, I wasn't reducing it. I was just not applying the stunt driving charge, just the speeding charge. So I was trying to do. Sorry.
Because I think it triggers it. What I did is I reduced it by the 1 or 2 or 5, whatever kilometers, to make it not stunt driving.
Yeah, well, I tried to do it for the full amount, and unfortunately, the computer wouldn't accept it because it was into the stunt driving range. Right. I eventually had to go and spoil the ticket that I was presenting to him, because I printed it off and I went to present them, and it gave me a no fine. Like the fine was $0, and I'm looking at it going, how can that be? That's like 53 kilometers an hour or some ridiculous, it was out right at the threshold. And I kind of went, okay, fine. I went back and reprinted the ticket, this time right at, I think it was like 49 and 149 and 100 zone or something like that. And I had to go back.
You did what I did. You brought it down to under the realm of stunt driving, just under the wire to give the stunt only. Or the speeding only.
I think in this case it was a matter of I paced the guy as opposed to getting them on laser or radar, but they were so gross. They were so grossly over the speed limit that even at pacing, I was a little reluctant. I set a rule for myself that regardless of what the speed may be estimated at as a pace, I will not lay a stunt driving charge solely on base. I would have to have a radar.
I've actually never laid stunt based on pace.
Neither have I.
It's not to say I wouldn't do it. I've never done it.
Just a quick
acknowledgement. Michael says, "Hey, Sean." Sonia Bizarro says, "Hey, Sean." Hello back to both of you. Bad Cat made a comment a little while ago about he thinks it's interesting that cops' interpretation of law, isn't it for the judge to decide? That's sort of like what I'm taking from their comment, which you may or may not be able to see on screen. Police have to know how to interpret the law to lay the charges appropriately, whether the judge agrees with the allegation that was made by a police officer, because a ticket or a charge is an allegation. At the end of the day, it's the independent trier of fact that's going to determine whether or not it sticks. So police interpret, lay appropriate charges based on that interpretation, and then go forward. That's
correct. He's 100% correct.
Well, thank you very much. I try. Melody says, was talking about the significant recovery. So she was saying annoying significant recovery, life altering should be, I'm assuming, the cause bodily harm. Noble wants to know if it's illegal to drive down unassumed roads. No, it's not illegal, assuming there's no signs for trespassing. But an unassumed road generally means it's not city property, it is not managed by the city. They're not responsible for it because they've not assumed responsibility for it. But it's private property. Very often you see this in new developments. Anything to add on that?
I'd always, like, you may be 100% correct, but I've always just saw unassumed roads, meaning the maintenance of that road is not done by the municipalities. So you know, any kind of pothole, you get it washed out because of rain or something like that, they're not going to fix it. Or if it snows really bad, they're not plowing it.
But it's a legal road.
I believe it is, but it's just the maintenance of that road is not being assumed by the municipality.
Yeah, and there are some that are like, there's one that I go to, and it is a public road. It is not maintained. I can't remember the terminology they used. It's not unassumed. It's something else. My understanding of unassumed is brand new development. It was once a farmland. They've divided it into roads. They paved it. They're building houses on it, but it's not being turned over to the city yet. So that's the only thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Ty Clark says I got pulled over overdoing, but we don't see what the doing was. And the officer said he paced. Is that a valid way to calculate speed? And that's funny because we're talking about exactly that, and it is acceptable. But as you've been hearing from my colleague here, he has not laid charges or does not lay stunt charges based on that because he's a really nice guy.
Well, like I said, I need a specific instrument to get the value. However, speeding is speeding. So if we're at 100 kilometers an hour, and the actual value of, or the level of speed that you're over and above the posted limit, doesn't go to the fact of whether or not you're speeding. So it doesn't matter whether you're 1 kilometers over or you're 50 kilometers over. The fact remains is you broke the law of speeding. What the level of speed goes to is specifically to the penalty. Sorry?
It's for calculating the fine. I love it when people would go to court and they would say to me, or they would say to the judge, thinking that they had perfectly defended themselves. Officer, or your worship, I was not doing 45 over like the officer said. I was only doing 25 over when they clocked me. And I'm like, thank you. Your conviction is registered. Like, you just pled guilty.
Yes. As soon as you say you're 1 kilometer over the speed limit, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 50. The fact remains is you're guilty. It's an absolute liability offense. The amount that you're over goes to penalty. And this is what a lot of people don't understand.
Oh, Bad Cat's got an interesting question, but I just want to acknowledge Sonia Pizarro, who says some officers are nice and do give you a break when you're pulled over, which I appreciate. My husband got a speeding ticket on the 400 for $45, and he was doing 20 over. Well, first of all, I appreciate that the OPP is pulling people over and giving tickets out for 20 over, because I think the reason we have such a problem on the highways and roads in general is because we don't often see people hammering people for 20 over. They're waiting for 40 over, which means 20 becomes the new speed limit because that's not enforced. I think we need to crack down on speed to a much, much finer, closer detail. Otherwise, we're going to see a lot of these high speed issues. But this is what Bad Cat said. Except pacing is not proof. I mean, there's no way to prove the officer is not truthful and the judge believes him. So here's a funny thing about this, Bad Cat, is there's no way to prove that the laser measurement, the radar measurement, anything is accurate, because the officer is making a estimate based on their skills and abilities and training. They're confirming their estimate with tools that they have, but you don't ever get to see those. So if I wanted to, not that I would, if I wanted to say that every car that goes by me is speeding, well, I could lay charges based on that. It would be untruthful, but there's no proof required in court other than me testifying in chief that that's what I said and did.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're not being videotaped when we're utilizing a mobile radar device or a laser device. But at the end of the day, if that's what you're asking for, then we might as well just set up a mobile photo radar on every street in the city and on the major highways, if that's what you're asking for proof.
Yeah, and the fact is, when a police officer observes someone robbing somebody, where's the proof? It's based on the observations of the officer. Like,
True.
There's nothing in policing that is truly based on, I shouldn't say it. There's evidence and other things that substantiate and support the allegation that the police officer is making based on their observations or interpretations of the events or the testimony of witnesses. But it's a very up in the air thing based on the trust and ability of the officer to be believable, trustworthy. That's why when an officer screws up and does something wrong, which is why we don't mess with our word. We say what we do what we say, because when we're not trustworthy or when we're accused of something and it sticks, it ruins our credibility. It's done. If we're crooks, we're finished and we can't do anything.
Well, that's one of the things when I'm training new officers. That is something that I hammer home exclusively with that officer, is that at the end of the day, the only thing that you need to do on this job, and that is to protect your credibility as a police officer. The day you lose your credibility, hand your badge in and quit, because you're no longer effective.
100%.
So
I agree.
lying on the job, stealing, all those things that we see alleged in the newspaper, if it affects your ability, your credibility at the end of the day, you're no longer an effective police officer. Quit the job, move on.
I agree with you. Your word is everything. What is Tony? Is that Tony Montana? He says, "All I got is my word and my balls, and I don't break either one for nobody."
Was it Scarface?
Scarface, yeah. Tony, yeah. Bad Cat says, "I agree, but what officer is going to do that?" I'm not sure what you agree with. The fact is, there's no reason, there's no incentive for anyone to lie on the job to write a ticket. So either they're writing a ticket based on the information and they explain how they got there, and that's enough. But lying, not worth it. Not to get you a ticket. There's no reason.
That is one of the things I never understood. Somebody saying, "Well, the officer lied in order to apply the ticket." It's like there's no advantage to me as a police officer to give you a ticket for the sake of giving you a ticket. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to, to lie, to deceive, or to anything for a single speeding ticket, a stop sign ticket. Like, where's the advantage to me?
There's no quota. There's no incentive. I don't get a free toaster. I don't get in trouble if I don't write a ticket. Like, you have to do your job, but there's so many things you can do. Like, I stand outside on the street corner and I'll catch 20 people. It's not like it's like fishing in a pond that is filled with fish that will bite.
A stock pond.
A stock pond. You're going to get a bite every time you put your your rod in. So there's no reason to, whatever comes out is what you write down. Like, there's no reason to game the system. The system is already providing you all the ticket writing your hearts, could want.
And to think about it, like, as a general citizen, when you're driving down the street, you could easily, in 5 minutes, point out, I don't know how many offenses and other drivers out in the road will do, whether it's rolling through a red light, making a right-hand turn, not coming to a complete stop, a stop sign, failing to signal a lane change when it affects somebody else. The amount of, like, just drive down the road and take a look at the amount of tinted plate covers or the amount of tint on somebody's side windows.
There's always a ticket to be written.
Like, my goodness, if I actually pulled everybody over that I saw that was completing an offense, that's all I would do all day.
You'd also never leave the square block around the police station because it's happening everywhere.
And I don't have to make up a ticket for somebody. So when they turn around and said, well, the police officer lied and just to give me a ticket, it's like, I don't need to do that. There's enough out there for me to apply
nonstop,
tickets to
every day.
everybody without having to be deceitful about it. And I make a good penny doing this job.
For sure.
Why would I risk my job, my income to my family, just to give some random individual a ticket? Like, come on, let's use some common sense here.
Yeah, but it doesn't sell well. The story sounds so much better when you think about corrupt cops. I actually have an article I'm writing, and I probably finished it, but I need to publish it. And it's talking about the whole concept of quotas and what's the problem with they don't exist. But what if they did exist? If I had to write 15 tickets a day, would that be a problem? Would I actually be manufacturing? Well, I think the problem is that people think that these tickets would be ignored if it wasn't for someone actually telling you to do your job. Well, I've never had to be told to write more tickets. My goal is to write more than I wrote yesterday every single day. Like I'm like I'm self motivated. I don't need someone to
Well,
put
as a traffic cop,
restrictions on.
that's your focus as your job.
Mm-hmm.
But and back in the day when I was a divisional primary response officer, we had what is called PRPs, and I'm sure you remember them.
But they exist. They're just tracking your performance.
So what people don't understand is, as a police officer, I am entrusted to go out and do my job without having a supervisor standing over my shoulder ensuring that I do my job.
Mm-hmm.
So for 10 hours a day or 11 hours, 12 hours a day, I'm put in a vehicle. My sergeant, my staff sergeant gives me the blessing. I go out on the road and they do not see me again until the end of my shift when I come in and report off. So, as a supervisor sitting at a desk in a station, the question comes up is, what the heck was that guy doing all day?
And the
Well,
PRP tells them.
so they go to the PRP, and what the PRP consists of is, how many tickets did you write? How many radio calls did you respond to? How many traffic or vehicle stops did you complete? How many reports did you complete? How many arrests did you complete? And when you look at that, and you look at, let's say, 30 people on your platoon, if you take those numbers from every single officer on that platoon, put it in a spreadsheet, there is an average that is developed. Every police officer will have an average number of arrests, an average number of reports, an average number of tickets written. And as long as you fall within the lowest part of that average to the highest part of that average, the supervisors think you're out there earning your money that you're
Yes.
being paid for.
You're not
You're
stealing
doing
it.
your job.
But I'll give you a funny, and I think the audience will really appreciate this. If you're a superstar, you make everybody else look bad. So if there's anything, there's pressure for you to do less work, not more work.
Yeah. Yeah, like that one outlier that's out there arresting 100 people and writing 1,000 tickets, like they're an absolute machine out
Yeah.
in the road. All the other guys go like, you know what, pump the
Dude,
brakes
cool it.
a little bit because you're making us look bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Like there's gotta be, and not only that, but to be honest, if you're out there writing 1,000 tickets,
You're
you're
gonna
not
burn
making
out.
the public very happy at the
Well,
same
but
time.
I will say this. If they're all breaking the law, I'm not worried about their happiness. They need to get in the line and not break the law, especially the ones that put people's lives at risk. That's the whole goal of writing a ticket, is to change behavior. But I don't disagree. If that person is taking the nickel and dime baloney stuff and leaving all the not evenly distributing that joy,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have a problem with it too.
Well,
Question from Static. Sorry to jump here. Go ahead.
Sorry, my tickets all fall into safety categories. Now, like the Highway Traffic Act covers a huge spectrum of different tickets that you can write. And my biggest focus is safety. So red lights, speeding, cell phone, distracted driving, things like that. I have no issue giving a ticket
All day
for
long.
all day long. If I pull you over for speeding and you have auxiliary infractions like tinted license plate covers or windows, I may give you a ticket in regards to that based on my personal interaction with the individual at the side of the road. Now, you get the person that's writing 1,000 tickets, they are writing tickets for everything. And
Yeah, there's no
sometimes,
discussion or education. It's just here you go next.
yeah, it's.
They don't have time to do the education. Let's see here. Static 133 says, are removable steering wheels illegal if the car comes factory without a wheel airbag? So if you change your steering wheel and you don't have it, you never had an airbag, you can change it. I don't like removable ones. I think they're less safe, but as long as you're not removing a factory airbag, I think you're legal. Anything to add on
Why
that?
are you putting in a removable steering wheel if you're not in a
Racing situation.
fixed seat racing vehicle? Like the
Like
whole
I said, not
purpose of the
smart
removal.
or safe.
So the whole purpose of a removable steering wheels for the getting in and getting out of a vehicle that has a fixed seat where it's not adjustable.
You can't get in or out without removing the steering wheel.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
exactly.
it's stupid. Although some people are putting it in for anti-theft. Take the steering wheel with you. You can't steal my car, which I totally appreciate.
Okay,
From that
you know, in today's day and age, okay, you give me a different perspective on that.
But I've seen videos where people are driving down the highway and they take it off to make a stupid video, and that is, I would say that's criminal dangerous driving at that point.
So let me go out and buy a $200,000 G-Wagon and then swap out the steering wheel with a removable steering wheel to prevent somebody from stealing it.
But the problem is you cannot legally remove an airbag, so that would be
well. I understand that, but I'm just saying, you know, I got a $200,000 G-Wagon. I'm going to put in a swapped out steering wheel just for anti-theft capabilities.
There's so many things. But did you see the video where someone put up? He said, "Look at this technology. There's a car here with a removable stereo," and I'm like, that was every car stereo in the 80s.
That was, yes. And then we actually graduated because we couldn't be bothered carrying a 2.5-pound radio with us everywhere we went. We decided, okay, maybe just the faceplate of the radio would be removable.
Oh man.
Hey, guess what? Manual transmissions. Figure that one out.
Oh yeah, that's the best way right now. It removes so many people from the situation. Ken O'Grady says, I got a ticket for doing 92 miles an hour on my motorcycle when I was at a red light. Don't know how you got that. Sonia Bizarro, I already messaged her, but looking to trade my car for a newer Subaru WRX. With all of the recent car theft, is there a way to find out beforehand, if the car I'm interested in is a stolen vehicle?
Call your insurance company; they'll tell you for sure.
Oh, sorry. Actually, Sonia, I misread this, and I misread it 3 times. I'm reading it again. You're not trying to find out if a WRX is a highly stolen vehicle. You want to know if the vehicle you are buying is stolen. So go to trafficcop.ca. That is my link tree. And on that link tree, I actually have a link to the RCMP page where you type in the VIN number. The VIN is it's VIN number. If I say VIN number, VIN, which is the vehicle identification number, and you can check to see if it's on the hit list. You can call a local police service; they might look for you. But generally speaking, the RCMP page is the right way to go. Punch in the number.
Doesn't Carfax do the same?
Carfax might, but I know the RCMP one is supposed to. Let me see if I can pull that up. There's 1 second here.
So I'm in the process of buying a motorcycle, and I have been focusing. Well, I found one that I kind of like, but it was out of Montreal, and a lot of individuals have been warning me about purchasing vehicles out of Quebec because they don't have Carfax the way we do in Ontario, and you can't trace some of the history of the vehicles out of that province, and motorcycles being one of the things that you couldn't do.
So this is the it's a CPIC check that you can do, and I've got a link to this at trafficcop.ca. The website that goes up is actually, you can't see it, but again, trafficcop.ca, and scroll on to the bottom. It says search to see if the vehicle is stolen. So when you go there, you see this. You may search for autos, trucks, vans, SUVs, motorcycles, snowmobiles, farm vehicles, heavy equipment, trailers, or ATVs. Please enter a valid vehicle identification number that contains only letters and numbers without spaces or any other characters. You do that, and you should get a response. I would, if you've at least done this and printed it out, you've done some due diligence. It doesn't necessarily cover you for everything, but it's a start.
Wow, I learned something today as well.
You can look up stuff and things.
I didn't know that existed.
Really? Oh, I got tons
Yeah,
of stuff.
I had no idea.
You can see if someone who you're going to lend your vehicle to, their license is valid. Checks the
That I
status.
knew. That I knew.
See?
Yeah, you can
Lots of
punch
cool
in
stuff.
their driver's license. It'll tell you if they got a valid license or not.
Important if you're going to loan your vehicle out, which I don't think you
Yes.
should do, but hey, whatever.
Well, you know what? I've got certain friends. Like you, for example. I would give my car to you in a heartbeat. I have zero issue with giving you a vehicle.
I appreciate that, but I also wouldn't do what some people do, and I have a valid license, which you can
Exactly. This is the point I'm making. Is there's people out there that you can certainly do have a great deal of faith, and you're one of the people in my life that I would certainly have zero issue giving my car to. And I have a few other people in my life that fit in that same category. Now, that being said, there's a couple other people in my life I'd be going, yeah, I'm going to run your license before I
maybe a
decide
good
to do
idea.
that.
And no, you can't. Melody says, always get the Carfax report. I got to say, I had the Carfax training. I think it's fantastic. They're a great tool. They work with police. Use that service. And Sonia Bizarro says, that was exactly what they wanted to find out in terms of making sure it was not stolen.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get a hold of Frank and get my Carfax. I've never had it.
Really? It's good tool. And you get to, it's cool that they give it to you. They encourage you to use it.
Question for you, though.
Mm-hmm.
You have it.
I had it. I don't think I still have it.
Well, okay, let me rephrase that. You had it. Can I do insurance? Like, can I look up insurance information on that?
I don't think so. I don't recall ever seeing insurance, but like the MTO, you have the MTO. MTO
Yeah,
is a
the
15-day window.
The MTO is only about, like, I look at that as about a 40% thing.
Well, that's what I mean. It's you get someone who it's verified. What the hell is it? That's not even verified. What's the word? There's another word for it, but they use crap. Can't remember what it's called. Anyway, the deal is that you can't confirm that insurance is valid based on that alone. It's just a hint.
Okay, here's a question for you, because I ran into this the other day investigating. So I ended up with a. I'm not going to get too much into the details because it's still very, very recent, and unfortunately, it was a very tragic event. However, that being said, I had a investigation that resulted in a serious injury, and while doing the investigation, the plates on the vehicle were not attached, and I ran the VIN of the vehicle, and it turned out that I got a name, obviously, as a registered owner, and I had a divisional car go to the house. They did a door knock and spoke to the registered owner, who informed me that that particular vehicle had been sold 10 years prior.
And they never applied for a new
permit. 10 years, that vehicle has not been registered with the Ministry of Transportation.
Well, it was registered, just not to the proper owner.
Never, well, exactly. I guess that's coming to the point of this discussion. I'm thinking that as a previous owner, that there should be a mechanism associated with the Ministry of Transportation that if I sell a vehicle, whether it's a car, motorcycle, or whatever, that I should be able to go to the ministry and orphan that vehicle.
I like that terminology. You can go and tell them that you've sold it. And if
yes,
you are smart,
but I want it registered as an orphaned vehicle, meaning that it was sold.
And here's who it was sold to. But why can't you say you sold it to a person, and that person be the person on file that it was sold to, because you have a copy of?
Well, that's something to explore. But at the very least, as the RO, that by orphaning the vehicle, then I am no longer have any degree of liability to that vehicle.
But I have a perfect solution. It's the same thing for firearms. When I want to sell a firearm, I have to call in and verify that the person I'm selling it to has a valid license. And that check is on file that I made the check. I don't have to actually.
But you can purchase a vehicle without a license, though.
I appreciate that, but there should be a mechanism, and whether it be a password, an email, or something. You like, so the way it works with firearms licensing is you have to say, "This is my number and this is the email address associated with it. There's my check." If you do that, there's a record of it. I get a verification of my email. You get a verification that I checked, and it's a thing. It should be the same thing, even if it's just a registered owner status. You can buy it, but you have to be a registered owner. You have to be permitted with a piece of ID. Doesn't have to be a driver's license. That would resolve this issue. MTO, my idea. You can send the check anytime you're ready.
Hey, you got to give a percentage of that to me, because
no worries, I'll happily 50-50.
Because I find it so frustrating, because like we're having this conversation with this guy, and I said, like, did you own this vehicle at one point in time? He goes, yeah, I sold that back in 2015.
And how many times has it been resold, or is it the same guy?
Exactly. The thing is, though, it's never, like, even if it's passed through 5 or 6 different hands, the bottom line is the last registered owner was this individual that I was speaking to. It was never re-registered by a new owner. And for 10 years, this vehicle has probably been, a community vehicle, to say the least, for various people.
These things until they're in a collision, and then they're impounded, and then the registered owner gets a message saying you owe $5,000 in storage, and then you're aware of it.
Yeah, and it's like, well, what do you mean I own $5,000? I sold that vehicle 10 years ago. Why is this coming back and biting me in the tuchus now when it was sold? Whereas if you sell it and it comes up on a registry as being orphaned, okay, now I understand that the vehicle was sold. It was sold to an individual that hasn't registered that vehicle, and then maybe I can go to the previous owner and say, look, I understand that you sold the vehicle, but do you have any records or anything like that on whom it was that you sold it to? And maybe even present a certain amount of legislation that could require an individual selling a car to maintain records for X number of years.
Richard says documenting orphaned vehicles could mitigate the ongoing auto theft scourge in Canada. 100%.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, part of it.
I think we just solved Canada. Done.
Yeah, there you go. Just
no issues here.
You want to know how to fix things?
Says, your guest mentioned that he's looking for purchasing a motorcycle. I have a Honda VTX 1300R Cruiser for sale.
Well, I think I just bought a 2017 Harley Davidson FLHT with 40,000 kilometers on it, and fully bagged.
Nice. I have a Valkyrie Interstate, 1999, with about 50,000 kilometers for sale.
A Valkyrie
Interstate, stereo CB.
Wasn't there like a V6 in that thing?
It's got a flat six.
Wow, those things they had such a beefy engine look on them.
Oh, it's all engine. It sounds amazing. It's not an obnoxious motorcycle. But I've driven that thing across into Georgia. Like, I've driven it all over the place. Great motorcycle.
Still riding it?
No, I haven't touched it since my crash.
Oh.
And actually, Powery is coming over. We're going to change the or fix the clutch. Right now, that it had a leak, so the clutch doesn't engage. It's just an external thing. He bought the parts. We're going to put it on.
I'm a little pissed with Powery. I found out like a month ago that he retired without any fanfare whatsoever. It's like, what do you mean he's gone? Yeah, he retired. What do you mean he retired? Yeah, he's gone. It's like, holy smokes. Yeah, so when you see him, give him a little kick in the can for me. And
we should go out and do breakfast. Riz says, is it true that speed radar guns that police use can cause brain cancer? It could explain some of our people, but actually, we don't really use speed radar guns. We use laser speed measurement devices mostly, and the radar devices are actually installed in the cars and not being handled by officers anymore. So I don't think that there's a linkage to that. There was once upon a time when handheld radar guns were being used and people were putting them into their laps.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say.
Yeah, there were lawsuits about their reproductive ability being questioned.
But only if you pulled the trigger,
have you ever run out of paper? Have you ever run out of paper writing tickets? I've run out of paper.
Say that again, sorry?
Have you ever run out of paper or ticket books?
Have I ever run out of a ticket book?
Yeah, you're writing tickets, so many tickets that you run out of paper. You either have to go get another book or you had to get another roll. I used to bring a fresh roll with me whenever I hit the road, and I always had 2 or 3 extra books, so I never ran out.
Well, I've actually had to call for people on the road to bring me a roll of paper because I ran out and somebody had used one or stole it out of the glove box, and I didn't realize it.
Yes.
But now I actually I keep a case in the trunk of the Scouts now, and they have something like I think 12 rolls in a case or 10 rolls in a case.
You got to prepare when you're a traffic man.
Oh yes.
Riz wants to know if cops have casual Friday. You're on duty writing tickets and stuff, but you're in your jean shorts and a Star Wars #1 fan shirt.
I wish. Oh, that would be so cool.
Do you know who did do that? It wasn't just casual Fridays. What it was a strike, or not a strike, but a work to rule in Montreal.
Yes, when they went with the camouflage pants.
They went through all sorts of weird stuff. They wore the uniform shirt, as far as I can remember, but they wore whatever pants they wanted.
Or how about the copper that showed up at court at 2700 Eglinton in a tracksuit?
No.
Yes. I can't believe it. That was back in like the early 2000s, but he figured if everybody else could show up, meaning the defendants, in just about any type of attire, he figured he could show up in a pair of tracksuits.
That's terrible. What do we got a question here? Can police stop someone for absolutely no reason and ask for ID? That's
yes.
Bashir. But is that we're talking about driving a motor vehicle, because you have to really determine the difference, because there is an obligation of a driver of a motor vehicle in the province of Ontario. You must surrender upon demand license, ownership, and insurance when a police officer makes the demand for one. And that can be for any reason. I want to make sure you're licensed. I want to make sure you're insured. I want to make sure you're sober. I want to make sure the car is qualified and safe for the road. That's different than if you're just walking down the street. Now, I can ask you for anything, but are you obligated to give it to me?
Well, that's what a lot of people don't understand, is we can engage anybody anywhere at any time. Now, whether you're legally required to surrender certain information and stuff like that is solely dependent on the level of, or the circumstances. Absolutely. But just walking down the street, I've gone into coffee shops where I'm picking up a coffee and I engage in somebody, say, hey, how are you? What's your name? Like the first response is, well, you don't have the authority to ask me that. Well, I'm engaging you in regular conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm not there to investigate you. So yes, we can engage anybody at any time, anywhere.
But asking for your license, ownership, and insurance, or asking for your driver's license, or to identify yourself to my satisfaction, is different if it's in relation to an investigation that I believe you might be involved in, and rather than just asking random people to stop ID, which used to be that contact card business of what was it called, 108,
208.
208, where they were just creating files. And so I spoke to someone who was in a pink shirt, and this is what that's different. And part of that concept of carding changed, because after I think it was a PACER report, it became, hey, listen, I want to ask you some questions. You don't have to answer them, or you don't have, you had to give them the out. There was no obligation, but just talking to someone, if I wasn't writing it down or putting it in my notes, it was different. It was just a conversation.
Yeah. And carding itself, the way it was applied way back in the day, obviously this was the way it was going to go. And the PACER report was 100% correct on that.
Let's see here. There was something that popped up earlier, and they were questioning about BB guns. They wanted to know if we talk about stuff other than traffic, and it was BB guns they wanted to know. And someone said, well, BB guns depends on bylaws. Well, here's the situation with BB guns. Does it look like a firearm? Are you bringing it out to the park? Are people scared? You will likely be arrested at gunpoint if you bring a BB gun out and people think it's a real gun, which is like, it shouldn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that a BB gun in today's day and age could be misconstrued as a real firearm. And I will tell you that police officers operate under the belief that it is a real firearm until they can prove it otherwise. And there's silence. You there?
I'm sorry. I was actually just scrolling through your comments here, and I apologize. I got a little distracted. Say that once more.
So the question was BB guns, and I was saying that if you bring a BB gun out to to the park, you will you will likely create panic, and that will be an issue, and the police will be called, and you will have people who are police officers responding, and they will treat the BB gun as a firearm until they can qualify it as something other than a firearm, which means you'll likely be arrested at gunpoint.
Especially nowadays, like take a look at the level of issues that we have with firearms in our community. Officers are not in a position to have the luxury of taking the time to make a determination whether or not what is in the hand of the individual is actually a firearm or not. And if you just even go on something as simple as the airsoft website, where you're taking a look at specific airsoft weapons, are they actual firearms? No, they're not. But look at the architecture of those firearms. They could easily pass for any legitimate handheld or long gun that is currently
100%.
sold on the market. And you're asking a police officer in mere seconds to make a determination whether or not what is in the hand of the individual is whether or not it's a firearm or whether it's a simulated firearm, and ask them to respond in an appropriate manner in that regard. So the individual standing there with that in their hand, you're taking a heck of a chance that the officer is not going to respond with a level of force that could easily strip you. Sorry?
They can crap their pants when they are the receiving end of it.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you a quick story in a second, but first I just want to acknowledge Sonia Bizarro. Thank you. She's throwing gifts at us, and I appreciate the gifts. Thank you. Quick story on the whole BB gun. Friend of mine's mom, way back when, had a BB gun in the car, and someone, swerved at them or tried to take them out, according to her. And it's only that she's passed away that I can tell the story now. But she waved this BB gun, thinking she would say, stay away from me, you being batty, horrible driver. And she came home to a lot of officers on her driveway arresting her.
And not surprising.
Brandishing a firearm or something that resembles a firearm is a threat, and you'll be charged criminally. Like, it's not a joke. And then just taking it to a place to shoot it. Private property is one thing. Taking it somewhere you can lawfully discharge it, no problem. But anywhere public, you're looking for problems. And even privately, I remember stories of people shooting them in the backyard of their own home and police attending. So just be very aware of, if you are engaging with police and you have anything that resembles a firearm, drop it and then take direction and do exactly what you're told. Don't just say it's just a toy, because bad folks are now painting them to look like toys.
Well, just Google designer guns. Holy smokes. Like, you can get
Tiffany Glock.
Sorry?
A Tiffany colored Glock. You can get them coated now and colored and accessorized to match your eyes and whatever you want.
You can get a pink receiver. Why not?
Sure. Riz Vision wants to know, if you have a G license and it expires, do you go back to the G1 license and do everything all over again?
No, you just renew it. You're good to go.
Depends on how long it's been expired. There's a 3-year waiting. Once you hit 3 years, you have to do an eye test. I think 10 years, you start again.
Seriously? If you haven't had a full license in 10 years, you got to go back to G1?
Yep. There was a chap who moved to Ireland. I met him on LinkedIn. He used to watch the show on LinkedIn, and he came into a live. We started talking. He says he got his learner's permit in Ireland, but they are so strict that he didn't qualify and never finished the extremely expensive process to get his full license there, which would have then translated to a full license here when he came home. But it had been 10 years since he had been in Canada, and he came back to find out that he was screwed.
Okay, so he went to England with a G license?
Yes, but that didn't
and they
qualify
don't have an equivalency in Ireland?
Ireland. It wasn't England. England has a reciprocal agreement. Ireland, I believe, does not.
Really? Okay.
I was shocked. You can drive there as a visitor. You can't have a full license. And California, same thing.
Okay, so I can drive there as a visitor, but if I decide to move there and I originally had a full license, I can't get a full license. Okay,
ridiculous,
that makes
right?
100%
Same thing
sense.
in Ontario. Everyone who visits Ontario with a foreign license can drive as a visitor. The moment they become a resident, they have to apply for a local license. And I can't tell you how many times I pulled someone over and they had a G1 on file, but they also had a license from a country that didn't have a reciprocal agreement, so their credit for their experience didn't count. Like if they were from where's a good example? Dominican Republic. You cannot come here with a Dominican Republic license and trade it for an Ontario license. So they would come here, find out, they'd register for a G1, and then they would continue to flash their Dominican license saying, I have a license. And I would say, but I found you as a G1, and the G1 is what counts. So here's your drive with.
Yeah, I ran into that issue probably 6 months ago, where somebody surrendered their foreign license, and then I ran them, and they actually had a G1. It's like, yeah, sorry about your luck.
Now I will say this:
unaccompanied by a qualified driver.
A lot of people don't realize that all you have to do when coming from another country is you can claim without even proof 1 year of driving experience. Can you imagine? Just you don't need to have any documentation. And you know how I know that? Because I read this and I found out. I didn't even know that. I just found out when I reread this, and it says, yeah, you don't need documentation for the first year. Anything over 1 year, you need to provide documents from your home country.
Wow,
crazy. So yeah, there are situations. I got to wrap up. We went 2 hours and 16 minutes of live streaming. I've hit my max, but I do want to see if there's anything else here. What's your thoughts on officers that don't have a PAL license? They don't need one. I mean, I've been shooting since I was 16 years old. That's why I have had an FAC, and I've eventually got my PAL when it changed it over. But police officers are not required to have a license. They don't buy guns.
Neither in the military.
Sorry,
I actually got in a conversation with that just a couple weeks ago about PALs, restricted PALs, and stuff like that. And the level of understanding was astounding, because a lot of people were saying that officers were required to have a PAL, and that's not true in Canada. You don't need a PAL as a sworn police officer, and you don't need a PAL as a member of the Canadian Armed Forces. However, that being said, as a sworn police officer, I do not need a PAL to carry a service-issued firearm. However, I do require one to purchase one privately.
And many are not firearms people. Like I came to the job as a firearms person. So you know who has to have a PAL, which I don't understand? Border guards.
Really?
Yeah, they required to, because my friend, who sadly passed away, was part of the first training cadre that actually went in as master firearms instructors and taught the PAL course to all the folks who do the Canadian border services.
Now, is that like a policy requirement, or is it legislative?
I don't know. I think it's because they were transitioning and they'd never been a firearms enabled service, and because they implemented firearms into it later, they wrote a policy or created a procedure that required it. I don't know where they get their authority or how. They have more authority than police, generally speaking, but for this one thing, they needed the firearms. And it may have just been a way of covering off some basic education.
Well, what about that being said, then I got a question. Then what about game wardens in Ontario?
I don't believe they do. They're officers. They're federal officers.
No, I like a provincial ministry because one of the guys I worked with at a 31, he was a police officer for several years and decided that this wasn't exactly what he had signed up for. And he was originally a game warden up north, and he resigned his position with Toronto Police, and he went back to being a game warden. He's fully
I know who
armed.
to ask because my friend, who is a former OPP auxiliary, is married to a park warden who carries a firearm.
Well, ask that question. It'd be
I'm gonna
interesting
ask
to
that
know if
question.
they require a PAL or whether they're covered under, like, as a peace officer.
But they are, I'm quite positive they're peace officers. Bad Cat says, if it's your tool to work, it's not required, but I think it should be. I don't know what a PAL gets you that being a sworn police officer doesn't cover 10 times over. And the big thing is the police firearm is registered, is the chief. It's under the chief, it's under the service, it's not yours. And I think that's the big thing. What is a PAL license? Possession Acquisition License is to answer the question from Liz, who, by the way, says, I'm loving tonight's convo, which just means we just need to have the B-Man back again.
Well,
and Liz was it Liz is your dad who was a copper? I blend stories eventually, but I know you've got police family.
Who, me?
No, Liz.
Oh, Liz. Okay.
But I'm glad you're enjoying it. We're definitely off the regular path, which is great. That's the whole idea of the After Darks. It's wherever it goes, whereas the day ones tend to go more car and driver and traffic related.
Yeah, we've kind of gone off the beaten path a little bit.
It's good stuff. I like it. I like it a lot. Apparently, there's now Bad Cat's offering up his 2014 Kawasaki 900 Custom with less than 6,000 kilometers for sale. We're now Auto Trader and Motorcycle
We're Auto Trader.
TV.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's see here.
Well, that's a question for you. Let me ask you one question. What was your very first motor vehicle?
My own, it was a Buick Park Avenue. I don't remember what year it was, and 86 or something like that. It was a burgundy Buick Park Avenue. It was my mother's when she bought an Acura Legend and replaced her car. I got the fancy schmancy used vehicle. It was a great vehicle, and it took me to high school.
What year was it?
I don't remember. Well, I think it was in. Hang on a second. I'm gonna look it up. When I say look it up, I'm gonna look at what the body style was. It looked like a Pontiac 6000.
Oh, so like a 1993.
Let's try here. 1991 Park Avenue.
I can hear you tapping away.
Yes. No, it's not that one. That's gross. That's a LeSabre. Not a 91. Could it be a 96? No, mine was a Purdy one.
Purdy?
Purdy.
Okay.
86? It was very square.
Okay.
There
like
it
a
is.
straight back
86.
on the straight back window?
Straight back window.
Okay.
It was the era of the. Maybe it was an 88. Here, I'll put it up on screen.
Yeah, I'm now starting to, with straight back windows, I'm starting to think 80s. Because back in the day when I was that's still a sloped in the back though.
Very, very slight. This thing had auto leveling, suspension.
Yes.
It had, it was a fantastic vehicle. I really enjoyed it. Now, there was a Cadillac that looked exactly like this. There was,
the
Pontiac
DeVille
6000 looked exactly like this.
Yeah, the Cadillac DeVille. The Cadillac DeVille was very similar to that one.
The worst Cadillac ever made, by the way, that particular one.
Yeah. Oh, I looked at, back in the 80s, my heart, if I could have had one, was a 1987 Pontiac Grand Prix.
Oh yes, with the wide rear tires.
Yes.
So in 1988, I was in high school, and my teacher was married. I don't remember what the teacher was, but I just remember the teacher was married to a guy who was in the tire business, but manufactured his own tires and made like super wide tires for his for that vehicle. And that vehicle was the first time I'd ever seen a heads up display.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on that 88 era.
Well, the 80, I think 87 was the last year for the body style, but that body style included the Monte Carlos, the Oldsmobile, Cutlass Supreme, Buick Regal, and just a second here. Oh yeah, the Buick Grand National, the old Grand Nationals. They all kind of had the same body style.
I love this car.
My very first vehicle I ever owned was a 1980 Honda CX 500 Deluxe motorcycle.
Oh.
With a Windjammer fairing.
So where's the GTP? This, I think this is the one.
The Pontiac?
Yeah. Isn't that what we're talking about?
No, Grand Prix.
This is a Grand Prix GTP.
Okay, but that's a later model. Look up the 1987 Pontiac Grand Prix.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's what you're talking about?
Yes, the one the bottom left, second from the left.
Hang on a second. There was one that looked a lot like my Buick, but it had like sporty.
Okay.
I don't remember what the hell it is.
Oh, see, is that a Buick Grand National in the middle there? Or is that still a Pontiac? It's very small on my screen, so it's hard to tell. See that pointed?
This is the one I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure this is the one I thought was awesome.
Oh, gee, yeah. You're thinking of the Grand Am.
This is a Grand Prix.
Was that a Grand Prix?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But there's another something that it was the GT. Anyway, this
Bonneville?
is a long time.
Pontiac Bonneville GT.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, it might be because it was a little bigger of a car.
I can't type. What the hell is the one? Was this the one that had there's one of them that had a fat rear end that was really awesome.
Might have been the Bonneville.
SSE, maybe.
Yeah, the SSE. I love that car. I knew somebody that had one.
I love all these cars. You know what I don't like are the new cars so much.
Yeah, the old SSE, it had everything. But what was really cool, it all had that crushed velour cushion seat in it.
And I love these rims, the BBS.
Oh, we're getting way off topic here. We're going down a rabbit hole.
I think it's the SSE that had the fat rear tires that my teacher's husband had made and then lost control using.
Well, it was a Pontiac Bonneville SSE, I think it was.
Oh, Liz, her dad and partner are both retired TPS cops.
Oh, okay.
Melody says, I would love to have a Grand National. And Brian, if you don't know Melody, she is a mechanic who beats the crap out of cars with sledgehammers and has videos to prove it on TikTok.
Well, the Grand National had the 3.8 liter V6 turbocharged, I think it was, if I remember. And it had the acceleration capability that would beat a Lamborghini off the line.
Yeah, what year?
87.
Sick. Yeah, I love this car too. Yes, blacked out, nice.
Yep.
With legal tint, of course. That's sick.
Yeah, try to find one that's for sale. Guaranteed, you're into about the $60,000 mark. Get a Grand.
Awesome. I just looking for an old Camaro or a Firebird. Everything is worth tons of cash.
Actually, I saw a couple on Auto Trader. Or Marketplace. I'm just flipping through because I still got a soft spot for the old IROC Zs.
Oh, I've been seeing a lot of them on the road, and they'd be cheap to have a cool car. I'd like to get the to reproduce. I kid you not. I would like to reproduce the Toronto Police IROC or whatever the patrol vehicle was and bring it to shows. I think that would be absolutely amazing.
Oh, that would be kind of cool. The old Camaros that we had back in, was it early 90s?
Yep. Here, I'll put a picture of Toronto Police.
But they, to be honest, those ones were a little gutless.
They were 5.7 liter engines. They were the L1 engine.
I thought they had the V6 in them.
No.
Okay.
They were absolutely beasts. You had to take a course to drive them.
Well, we got the Chargers now at TSB, and you got to take a.
Here you go.
There you go.
I want that car. I want to sticker it up with the 80s or 90s police decals.
What year was that?
What's that?
What year was that car?
It says here from the 90s. We reproduced this. So when the superintendent in charge of traffic services got the Chargers, we reproduced this picture for with the new one, with the new Chargers. They positioned them the same way. It was cool. There's two versions. I didn't realize we had two series of them. We had the one with the square lights, then we updated them. So I thought there was only two, but apparently there was two generations, the IROC and then another.
Oh, wow. I'd go with the IROC.
Oh, a Camaro test car. So there must have been iterations of it before they actually. I never even saw this one before.
Wow.
I would love to. And one of our guys, Butcher, has one of these. Not done up like this, but.
Butcher has one?
Apparently.
Oh, well. I'll have to have Well, I saw him the other day. I'll have to have a conversation with him about that.
Okay, I gotta buy a Camaro now.
There's not enough money in the world for all the little things that we want to do.
I spend too much money. But here's what I'm going to show you a car that I actually want to buy. It's not a car, it's a truck. And I'm toying with the idea of buying this set of wheels.
Okay, we've really gone off the topic.
Us go off topic. Me, squirrel. What are we talking about? Never have I ever changed topics without having a reason to do so. Here we go. I'm seriously considering this vehicle. It's a former nuclear security vehicle. It's got this floodlight.
Yeah.
Hang on.
What is it?
It's got 23,000 kilometers.
Oh, no. Why does it say Ford with a Chevy badge in the front?
It's a Ford dealer.
Oh, okay. What is it? A Tahoe?
It's a Tahoe, 4-wheel drive. It's got fully decked lights and siren package.
How many K?
What's that?
How many K on it?
23,000.
And they want 32 for it?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's not bad actually.
It's got cloth interior in the front. I've got pictures of it. I think it's got vinyl disgusting seats in the back. It's got a drawer like our current model police cars. So it's got the guns and ammo drawer or the anyway, it's freaking awesome. And
it's written off, you said?
No, it was a supervisor vehicle, apparently, really low mileage.
And they got rid of it. Why?
It's 2018. It got aged out.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
And how many K on it?
23,000.
Oh, geez, that's nearly brand new.
Right.
And what are you driving now? You have a pickup, right?
No, I have an Expedition. So same vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Essentially.
Just a Ford version.
Right. So 1 second. No, this is not going. Why is this going?
What are you going to do with all the lights?
I would just change them to ambers. And then,
I'd do it. What's the worst that could happen?
Well, the question is, I have a newer, or I have an older by a year, but at the same time, I'm missing a row of seating. I need the full row of seating, so it's a question if I can justify it.
Wait, you need 3 rows?
Melody says, "I'm going to go look at that vehicle." Melody, are you stealing my vehicle?
She's gonna buy it up for Monday.
It's such a good. I think I want to make an Ask a Traffic Cop truck and take it to shows. That's what I want to do.
Why not? I support your idea. But you only have 2 kids, right?
I've got 2 kids, but I have a family that doesn't drive, and whenever we do family stuff, I tend to pick them up.
Okay. Now it makes
Now,
sense.
that's not a reason to buy a car, just to take other people, but it does have, I tend
No,
to.
that third row of seating makes sense.
Okay, 2.5 hours is almost okay. I gotta go. I gotta cut it. I gotta cut this down. Convicts were awesome.
Well, buddy, thank you very much for having me up. I really appreciate it. I had such a good time.
Oh, me too. It's great. And you know what? Anytime you want to hop on, doesn't matter. You got time. If 10 a.m. is on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then of course at night on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Well, I'm back to work on Thursday on day shift, so we'll see. If
Well,
I can.
when you're around, I'm here. You know how to get me.
Absolutely.
But it was a wonderful treat having you on, and hopefully this can happen again. And Sonia keeps sending gifts. Thanks so much, Sonia. She's buying me coffee is what she's doing. I appreciate it.
Well, I like dark roast 2 cream.
Well, you know what? I've got something for I've got something that's got to go to TSV, so maybe we'll hook up on the road.
Okay.
And Bad Cat says was great. I'm thinking that Bad Cat enjoyed the time on the live stream today, which is awesome. The whole goal is to have fun and to share knowledge and go down and explore topics of discussion that you don't normally talk about. Like I can only answer what was it, underglow and tinted window questions so often or so much until I lose my mind. But this has been really great. We dove into all sorts of the crazy things.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to get off a little bit of the beaten path and into other areas. Like I would love to have a conversation with you about impaireds, things like that. And like ever since the election, I've been in a lot of political conversations with people, not to get political, but a lot of it does get into the area of the charter, which I enjoy a great deal having conversations about. So, impaireds, charter applications to certain offenses, things like that. As much as I do enjoy, the same as you, talking about traffic and traffic enforcement and things like that, there's a lot more to policing than just traffic. And it's great to explore those other areas.
Oh, yeah. No, I like talking about all sorts of stuff. Although I got to tell you, I had people come into the live stream right around the election, and it made it all about the election. They were just so angry. Yeah, there were people making allegations. I was on this team. I was on that team. I'm just on tracking traffic team. It's always funny. Let's see. Melody says Saturday car shopping at Ford. Maybe make a video for the Temptation. Oh yeah, go. Actually, Melody, you can really help me out. We're trying to figure out. That dealer is looking into it for me. They want to know if there's an extra row of seats underneath the bay in the back, the drawer.
I don't think the Yukon has a third row.
If it's a third row hiding underneath there, I want that truck. That guy, Ed, wants to know what the perks of being a police officer versus a deputy is. Well, I'm assuming, Ed, that you're in the United States, because in Canada, we really do, well, at least in Ontario, because there are sheriffs in.
Oh, did you hear Saskatchewan?
What?
Oh, Saskatchewan actually is going to have the Saskatchewan Marshals.
What?
Yes.
Can we go there? That sounds like a fun job. What do we do?
It's the same thing. It's policing, except it's a provincial police. They're getting started this year, and I think they go live this month. And it is the Provincial Saskatchewan Marshals, SKMs or something like that. Or I can't remember how they designate it, but yeah. So Saskatchewan decided to have a provincial police service.
SMS, skmarshals.ca. Oh,
yeah,
Exactly. Oh, by the way, Ed is in Texas, and I'm in love with Texas because everything's bigger in Texas, and I want to come down for some Texas barbecue, and I gotta buy me a cowboy hat. I'm not kidding. I really want to come to Texas. I've been looking at housing in Texas. You can buy a palace in Texas.
Well, if you're going to buy a hat, I'm going to send you to a guy.
Yeah, you got a guy in Texas?
I got a guy that can get you a
Does Ed
cowboy
have a
hat.
guy in Texas? Because how close are you to your guy? Because Ed might have a guy that's like.
I got a guy that will build you a hat specifically what you're looking for.
I don't even know what I'm looking for. I just know I want to be a cowboy.
Send a picture of your face.
And he will tell you what kind of hat you need?
No, you tell him what kind of hat you're interested. Just give him an idea, and he will design a hat special for you.
No kidding.
Yes, kidding. I'll send you a couple TikToks of this guy. He's online. They're spectacular. I love his hats. I'm just not a cowboy hat guy.
More. This is the Marshal Service.
Yes.
Green. SMS. All I hear is short messaging service. I think about texting. I don't know. I can't take it seriously.
Yeah, but they're the new provincial police service in Saskatchewan.
Become a marshal. I want to do the voiceover for the recruiting thing.
Call them.
I'm actually going to be presenting an award at an event this week, and they called me up and said, "We need your voice. We need you to do the presentation. Become a marshal and get a really cool hat."
Actually, you know what, buddy? I thought about, you know how that Lance guy that I told you about came back? Yeah. Well, I'm thinking maybe I should just retire and go to Calgary.
Well, I will tell you that I have a friend who's out there, and I've spoken to them about going there. And I've got friends in Brooks, Alberta, who do so my buddy in Brooks, Alberta is a sergeant peace officer. He is not a police officer, and they do traffic enforcement there.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Come on down, we'll get you a job." It's very tempting.
Yes, it is. Like, well, Lance is collecting his pension, and as a former police officer and working as a current police officer, I'm thinking, wow, that is the way to do it. So
that is the way to do it. Now, I have a different situation because I'm not collecting a pension at the moment.
Yes.
So I got a weird thing. So I don't mind getting paid and coming back. My goal was to leave for 24 hours. Never really had to stay after. Stay off after. Well, that's not true. I needed to come home and do stuff and help out. Mikey likes it, says, "Hey, Sean, it was a pleasure meeting you tonight at dinner." Michael, great to meet you in person. I went for dinner for his group thing, and my buddy Charles came by and said, "This is my cousin Michael. He watches your show." So we met earlier. And Arsenault can help me become a cowboy. Right on. That Sonia Bizarro says that I can get all the lessons there.
Well, it was interesting. I went and did the Easter parade.
Yeah.
I was the lead car. And after the parade, I'm just waiting for everybody to disperse. So I'm just hanging out in case they needed me for whatever reason. And I'm looking at the crowd, and I see this person walking through the crowd. And it was actually another TikTok creator that I recognized.
Who's that?
Walking around the street, and it's like, holy smokes, I follow you on TikTok.
Who was it?
Oh, I'll tell you offline. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Scuba Dive Experience says, "I'm looking to buy an Inca Century APC vehicle. Are there higher chances for cops to pull me over?" Have you ever watched was it Top Gear, where they went to South Africa and test drove their armored vehicle, the one that comes with 2 AK-47s in the front? Do you remember that one?
No, I've never
seen my God. That. You know, whenever you're in the the shopping mall, and you're there to, someone blocks you in, no problem. You put it into 4-wheel drive, and he drives over 2 cars to get out of his parking spot. It's fantastic. I'll send you a link to the video.
Well, I remember years ago watching when I first joined the service. We would get videos every once in a while of cars that were outfitted to prevent carjackings out of South Africa.
With the blowtorch, with the
yes,
flamethrowers. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Apparently, it's not allowed here. Otherwise, I'd have already installed it.
You imagine
Yes,
coming up to your car trying to break into the driver's side, and you just press a button, this giant flamethrower comes out the side.
And apparently that's a standard option in BMWs, along with electrified hood ornaments in Mercedes there, and door handles. Like this, they do a ton of things to deter theft and abduction.
Wow.
G Banyan wants to know if I can recommend any body shops in the area. Sadly, I don't know any. I would say there's a couple of them, but talk to your insurance company, talk to your trusted mechanic. I'm sure they can send you in the right way.
Actually,
he says inspector gadget level car. It's awesome.
I actually know a good body shop, but the owner of this body shop, I've known for years, and in the last 3 years now, his daughter is a member of traffic services.
So you can't make that referral. Send me the name. I can make a referral.
I'll send you the name.
Yeah, and Banyan, I can send you a message. Send me a message, and I'll respond to it with the receipt.
I haven't spoken to him for years, but he's done some work on my car. Like he's reasonable price wise, but the work is fantastic.
Very cool, very cool. I really got to go. Almost 3 hours in the live stream. We'll talk soon, Bri. To everybody else, thanks for hanging out. It's been a blast. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. to do this again. And we'll probably talk about fewer things that are less interesting, but we'll still be doing a lot of fun stuff. So we'll see you tomorrow at 10. And Bri, we'll talk soon.
Okay, take care, buddy.
Ciao, bro. Bye.
Thanks again. Ciao.
And with that, I say goodbye. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Ask a Traffic Cop. Probably less fun, but still here. Have a great night, everybody. Drive safe, drive sober, smile, and get some sleep. It's late. Ciao.